Yeah, this was just like a random stream. I don't know. I was bored. I figured I'd have one. No one else is live, so I figured why not? I don't think Wildheart is live because the last video he did, he said he was gonna go to rehab or detox or whatever. I don't know whether he's gonna actually stay there all 18 months or whether he's gonna do like the 5-day plan that he had. But yeah, so yeah, if anyone wants to come in, well, actually, let me post the link, of course. But then again, I really should have used Hillary. Really should have used Sammy's account to allow more than 6 people. But honestly, it's better to have 6 rather than a fucking trash fire or dumpster fire that was the last time. And even with 6, that was a dumpster fire. It was fun having people on, of course, but all right. Then let me advertise the stream. Hello, Bricks for Eyes. Oh, Bricks with Eyes. My bad. Nothing. Just bored. Figured I'd have a stream. Okay. Every used to be my own topic. Okay, well, you can join anyway. Check on Discord. Uh, not really. No. But Dean, the link is in Discord. Of course, let me put it live here as well. I have no idea, CC. Oh, well, never mind then. I guess I'll have to try to be as entertaining as I can. Trial by fire and all that. Which, honestly, I, I don't know. I think it just takes practice, of course, but fumbling over my words doesn't exactly help to entertain people. Which that's part of the course. But hey, you know what? Maybe one day I'll get it right. And when that happens, it'll happen. But man, I am just tired of certain people. Right? Tired of just caring about them, but they don't give a shit about themselves. Like the whole Wild Heart situation. The man has gotten drunk every day since he got out in June. Sorry, January. Uh, at first he did seem like he was sober, but then again, I think everyone knew that he was actually drinking. We were just trying to tell him that good job, you know what I mean. You're not drinking anymore, just as a way to for positive reinforcement. But that went to hell. Here's a topic: feminists are trying to destroy Warhammer. I've seen a little bit of that. I don't know too much about it, so I can't really speak on it. Hello, Kelsey. Hello, Mac. Feel free to join if you can, though most of you are probably at work. So it's like, why should we join your stream? Get a fucking job, loser. Okay. There you go. Spring is here, and I'm so excited that I'm wetting my pants. Hey, HK and Mac, I hope you're having a good day. I'm at work, so I can only listen. Well, yeah, that's fine. Probably should have had this stream at 2 p.m. Eastern. About as I said, I was bored. Of course, I could also found something else to do. But you know what? Free will and all that, so I chose to stream. Why? You got me. The good streams always happen when I'm at work. Well, if that's your way of saying this is a good stream, well, thank you. It's definitely nice to hear. But I'm sure there are people out there who are worse at this than I am. Then again, that's not really something to be proud of. You're better. You're better than someone who's worse than you. Okay. Why can't you? Why don't you be better than yourself? I don't know. Hmm. The good. Hi, Batman. Uh. hmm. Well, I guess one of these days I'll figure out how to articulate myself well without stuttering or anything. I mean, I just did that well, that's true, but there are times to where I can't speak well. There's a pause. There's a pause in what I say or I say. You know what I mean? There's a way to add something. I'm grilling hot dogs in the woods. It's been a beautiful day. I have almost an acre of blackberries this year. Well, cool. I must be nice, but hmm, man, I stream. Okay, let me see this. Okay, hold on. Do you want me to review this, or is it just... Oh, share if I dare. Okay, well... I'm not going to be taken down, am I? But who cares? Whatever. Share screen. There you go.
Hi, my name is Josh Rosenzweig, and welcome to the SVTV Short Film Fest, where we're dedicated to bringing you the very best in short films from around the world. Each week, we'll present a new film from a filmmaker or an artist or a creator that we love and we want to share with you. This week, I'm so excited because it's one of my all-time favorite films from one of my all-time favorite filmmakers, starring a baby doll named Dirty Baby. Dirty Baby washes up on the shores of Fire Island, and the entire stop action animation film is shot from her perspective as we look at what life is like.
Yeah, God damn it, the mic was off. Yeah, I think I'll stop sharing that. Well, that and I just don't want to watch it. Let's see, where's there we go. Okay, random. Yes, YouTube. Anyone say anything? Nope. Okay, that's a little. Yeah, that's a little weird. Oh. Hmm. Warhammer 40K. Like, I don't know much about the lore. Like, I know it's a massive fucking universe, and I do know the feminists have been trying to get female space marines in there, which make no fucking sense since space marines in general, space marines in general come from, the emperor who's male. So where the fuck would you get female space marines? I mean, yeah, I guess you could do an alternate universe where where the emperor is female, but I don't know, just fucking stupid. Well, I could see why she got traumatized. But a sentient doll that could sentient doll just hey, you know what? I'm just gonna go walking around. I don't give a shit if I'm naked. I'm gonna be. It was just freaky. Okay, I kind of have a thing. Well, I won't. Never mind. I won't mention anything. But yeah, three people watching. Actually, I think one of them is me because I am seeing the chat. Okay, Brick, where the? Uh, uh, yep, four people watching. Work, 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 work. Gotta love work. Gotta love it. Let me close Google, I guess. But yeah, like I said, that's a whole fucking mess with the Warhammer 40k. Hmm. Maybe I should just play some songs and do karaoke. Nah, not really. We got 5. Let's see. Let me see what this is. Oh, damn. Hmm. Claymation in Greek mythology. Alright, let's see. This fucking mouse, I swear to God.
How can we forgive a love undeclared, a life removed? In the sacred waters, a mother seeks immortality for her son, Achilles. But where she holds, she leaves him vulnerable. Achilles, valiant hero. Achilles and Patroclus together. Taught to lead, taught to fight, taught to kill. Learn to love.
What is with you and these like weird fucking videos you gave me? What the fuck am I looking at? It was part of a gay film festival DVD I rented ages ago. God damn. Hello, nerdy rodents. Yeah, that was that's enough. uh, hey Bond, how are you doing today at 2:20? Erotic obscure animation for claymation for the win. Yep, gotta love that. Bond. James Bond. Topic. I don't know. Let's see. Doing good. Covered in sawdust, of course. What do you do again that you're covered in sawdust? Do you cut down trees like a lumberjack? Kelsey, I'm not even gonna click that. I'm just gonna leave it there. What the fuck? No. Yes, yes, dirty. Clicking on links from Halsey is dangerous. Hey, Will, what's up? Feel free to join if you can. Yeah, I know. I should always have a topic or something, but I don't know. Hey, yeah, they're saying hi. Mm. I love going on streams. I mean, yeah, occasionally I don't say a lot, right? Because I can't really go into edgewise, and when I do, I can't really articulate myself well enough to get the point across. Although I guess sometimes I do get the point across, it just doesn't come out well. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just being self-conscious about it. Just because there's so many people out there in this community that just they are able to speak so well, so fluently, and have such a radio quality voice that I'm like, wow, I wish I had that. Nothing much. Well, just bored, I guess. Kind of down. Worried about that fucking idiot in Britain, which I really shouldn't, but I have a heart, so there you go. I'm pissed off at the guy, but what can you do, right? The last video he had was like, "Thank you," and it said, "Oh, I'm going to rehab or detox." So there's that. Hopefully, he stays all 18 months, but I doubt it. I guess it's just one of those days where I'm feeling kind of down, and just having a stream about it talking about it helps. Shit, that's SA. Please don't sue me. Yeah, I know. Halsey Mack and we were talking earlier this morning about it. I saw the ambulance video. That was a fun little fucking thing to watch. Oh, you called us 14 times in the last 22 days. God damn. It feels so bad for the ambulance. uh, hope you're doing well today, Will. You know what? I thought the same thing. Oh, that was funny. Yeah, like, why not just ask him for a hug or something or not? I don't know. It was a weird thing to watch. Still up on his channel and on his new channel, of course. But there's that. I honestly wish I didn't care so much. I wish I was just completely cold, like not really give a shit about anybody. But of course, you can't really do that. Otherwise you become a sociopath, or I guess psychopath, or whichever. I could definitely use a bro hug right now. Hmm. Strangely enough, hugging yourself for 20 seconds is supposed to also help if you really don't have anyone to hug you. Weird how that works. And bro hug to you. Thank you. Maybe one can pick and choose people they care about. I mean, I suppose. Well, that's before I could say, hey, you got a. You mean plushie? Or what is a slushy? Anyways, thanks, Will. Could definitely use that bro hug. Feel free to join, Hillary, if you can. Hmm. Is that a bro hug with or without reach around? I don't know. That's a good question. Oh, well, that's fine. That's good. Manly work, planting willow trees. Stretch midnight. That feels like a hog also. Fair enough. Hmm. One of the hardest life lessons that I'm still coming to terms with is that nobody gives a shit how you feel and no one's gonna come save you. So you have to save yourself. As harsh as that is, that's reality. I'm hugging from I'm hugging from the front, so a reach around would be fingering. I mean, there really is no topic, Will. That's why it says bring your own topic. No one's joining, so I'm just trying to do stream of consciousness. Yep. Ultimate accountability lies yeah. Ultimate accountability lies with self. Yeah. As hard as that is to accept, yeah. Uh, oh come on, nerdy! Don't go down that road. All right, the topic of the self is just complex, and we could be here all day. I mean, yeah, granted, it would be a topic. It would be a topic, sure, but self. It depends on what you mean by dot 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 dot, or I guess line line. I don't know how to. It depends on what the word is. Self is the illusion of separation. Well, that is true, Will. Hillary, would you mind coming on here and expanding what you mean? I mean, if not, that's fine. It is. I do find it interesting what you just said. Self is the illusion. Hold on. Self is the illusion of separation. Yes, you are. Yes, you are nerdy. You are certainly amusing yourself right now. That sounds like a double entendre. Okay, I'm coming. Oh, yeah, here we go. Hey,
Yes, I almost spelled it the other way too, but I didn't want you to be confused.
well, I'm wondering. Okay, self is this self. God damn it. Let me see what you said again.
Self is the
Self is
illusion
the
of
illusion of
separation.
separation. Well, I mean, the first question is separation from what? Or who, I guess.
Well, that's what Halsey asked.
Yeah.
So yeah, they could be taken several different ways. It could be separation from society. It can be separation from those around you. It can be separation from reality. In the case of religious delusion,
Hmm. You know, we like to think that illusions are always bad, right? Or they're illusions. They don't really exist in the world, in the universe. Like whenever a magician does a magic trick, that's a magic trick. It's an illusion. Like he pulled a wool over
Mhm.
our eyes. Like it wasn't true. But okay, it still exists in the universe. Therefore, the illusion exists objectively, even though it was used to fool you.
Oh boy, I hate to use the word objective.
I know it's both
Um,
or loaded, but you got what I
yeah.
mean.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything bad about illusion. I mean, we misperceive things all the time. Like, we wouldn't know that Einstein's general relativity was true if it wasn't for the illusion of the star behind the sun during a total solar eclipse.
Yeah, but today, in today's society, illusions are always seen as like a bad thing, right? You have, you have schizophrenia, and you see things that aren't there. Those are illusions, but people don't realize that, as you said, like our very perception of reality is an illusion. It's called a controlled hallucination. But when you bring that up to people, they're gonna be like, "What the fuck do you mean a controlled hallucination? I'm not hallucinating. I'm experiencing reality as is." You're really not, but good luck trying to argue with them about it.
Yeah, conversations like that, if they just totally deny observable reality like that, or don't even understand the words that they're using, like hallucination, then I just step away. But
Yeah.
But yeah, you're exactly right. That's all that we do is we have hallucinations because none of us can directly perceive what our senses are experiencing.
Halsey,
Our brain
never
has to
send
filter
me.
everything.
Sorry, never send me videos again.
No, Halsey, it's
And
great. You stimulate all
I
kinds of great thought.
You
I'm
didn't
sorry,
see
I'm
the
joking, but
you didn't see the last one, but I put it in
no,
the
I
group
didn't. I was like, no, a man has his limits.
Hey, I have to share the weird stuff that I come across, okay? I feel bad if I don't.
Okay, you're so sadistic.
No, not at all. What I suffered, now you have to, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
The beard rubbing one was the one that you missed, and yeah, I was like, wow, this is like a whole thing. Like this is like a legitimate thing in like the gay community. Beard fetishes. Yeah.
By the way, you know what? You know
Subset
what?
of the bear sort of.
Oh, bear, the bear, the
Yeah,
beard.
I don't know what I want to call them. Group, I guess. I don't know. Anyway,
By the way, nerdy, I hate you, but I don't at the same time for bringing the topic of the self up, which gives us a topic to talk about. Considering
Oh.
Will always complains when I don't have a topic, which
That's why
okay, I guess.
I forgot. I remembered, then I forgot. Now I remembered again. I came in because I had a way of describing objective versus subjective that Hillary may or may not appreciate.
Oh,
Oh boy, here we go. Here we go. Come on, the cage match between Hillary and Halsey. This
No,
is
hold
should this
on,
should be
hold on.
good.
So objective are things external, and subjective are things that are internally interpreted.
I don't think anyone has a problem. I don't think anyone here has a
yeah.
problem with that.
I'm parsing it right now, but that
Probably the
on the
simplest
surface
way
seems pretty good.
kind of put it, I guess.
The only thing, though, it comes down to quantum physics and how do we make an observation? Nothing is real without an observation.
Well, right, but see, the thing is that the way that I see the whole, subjective versus objective thing as far as observation goes is that we we can consider the objective, but we will never be able to objectively interpret it. We will always be subjectively interpreting it. The minute it goes into our eyes and our minds, it's being subjectively interpreted. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
it becomes a product of our thoughts,
but
and whether or not we accept what we see and what it means. You know what I mean? So
yeah. I've been thinking. Let me tell it again. I've thought about this a lot, and when you really think about it, all life is all existence is a Russian doll of experiences. Like, sorry,
Hmm.
subjective experience, because a subjective experience is actually relative. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's just relative to another subjective experience. Like, for example, you have the Earth and you have Mars. Okay, what happens on the Earth is subjective to the Earth, and what happens on Mars is subjective to Mars. Now the creatures who live on the Earth, experience what happens on the Earth, but the experiences of, like, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but back to Halsey's thing. Um, again, if it's not observed, it doesn't exist. So you can't have a waveform collapse unless all that you got is endless possibilities and probabilities.
But you know that an observer is any particle that observes another, right? I know they use the word
Right.
observe, but
we think
it's
of
not
things
really.
with eyeballs and brains when we
Yeah,
think of
that's that
observers.
that's the issue people
Okay.
have when it comes to quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
Yeah, because as soon as I was saying that, I was thinking, well, then how did the Big Bang happen? Obviously, there must have been an observer. Can you highlight this last comment by Nerdy? I definitely agree with that.
Oh,
Halsey
yeah, but
destroys Hillary with this one argument. 'Cause we're talking
oh,
about hyping it up. So
oh,
you won, Halsey. I bow before you. You
Oh,
are
no.
the undisputed champion.
oh, come on, don't do that. She don't do that. You're gonna make her blush and be like,
I know. I'm trying.
"Ah."
Yeah.
I
No,
never
I
Have
like
use
you?
it to
your
crush.
definition there, Halsey. That which is external versus that which is internal or human dependent. Yeah.
As far
So
as
you have
interpretation.
so you have no issue with what I said?
No, I don't have any problem with what you said either, Midnight.
All right, never mind then. Really gotta learn how to explain it better. I always feel like I lose people with that. Hillary's got destroyed, bro. Get good, Hillary's.
Yeah. That's gamer talk.
Game over, as Joel would say.
Game over.
Game over.
Just please, no gamer words, okay?
We've got some pretty funny clips. Like I have a clip of Veckel saying, "You're not going to lose your salvation if you bang a couple of hookers." or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. That was funny as hell.
Yeah. And a bunch of stuff. I've got Jill cussing and saying that he doesn't give a shit about your liberal scholarship.
Ooh.
So
Jill is a gem.
putting together a little song for Jill.
Pwned. Here's another one. Pwned.
Yep.
Like,
Did he say that?
well, not
Yes,
Jill,
he
but
said it.
Dirty Rodent said it.
Pretty funny.
Yes. So we all agree about reality and all that. So where's the argument? Oh wait, there isn't none.
So don't you think that the self is just the brain's own idea of itself, like its own imagination of itself?
I mean, the self, and I guess there's many things that we talk about. There's the self, there's there's consciousness, there's personality, which we use those terms interchangeably to like generally mean the same thing, but they
Right.
might just be pieces that come together to form who we are, right? Like there's the self, then there's consciousness, which emerges from the self, and then there's personality, which emerges from the combination of the self and consciousness, which leads to all the other things I can't really think of.
I mean,
Like,
and there's also like just the concept of the self, because I don't know if either of you have ever had this experience when you let's say you haven't seen someone in a while and they point out something about you that's different that you didn't realize was different.
I mean, yeah, it happens all the time, or a lot, I
Or
should say.
or you someone takes a picture of you and you see it, you didn't realize they took a picture of you, but you look at the picture and you almost don't recognize yourself because your self-image, your idea of yourself is different from what
Mm.
the actual
Yes.
Yep.
you is,
Yep. I think not to diminish what what you're saying. I think a lot of people have that.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people do experience that. Go ahead, Hillary.
mild dysphoria of some kind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially the awkward teen phase where your body's like changing and your facial features are growing at different rates.
Right.
Wait, hold on. Desperado, who are you?
Who's Desperado?
I know.
Yes,
He
but
wants to
In
join.
the back chat or
No. He's trying to join.
he's backstage.
You could always put someone full screen while you
That is true. I can do that.
questions, I guess.
Ah, God damn it. Hold on.
Nazi smasher.
Who are you?
Someone who randomly came upon your stream and saw a StreamYard's link.
Sweet.
Well, hello.
So, what are y'all up to?
Well, we are discussing consciousness and the self, which I interrupted. I interrupted either Halsey or Hillary's about it, but I noticed somebody backstage, and I was like, "Who is this?" And I mean, I didn't really recognize you.
I'm Desperado.
He's a brand new person.
Well, welcome, I guess. Hillary, as you were saying, or somebody was saying something.
I don't remember.
Oh well.
Were you talking, Hillary? I don't remember.
I don't recall. I know I was reading Nerdy's point. The self is just the localization of the whole, and I definitely agree with that also.
There's a hole.
Oh, you were saying
we were kind of talking about the whole like mental concept of the self, right? Just like
You were also talking about the experience of seeing
a
seeing a picture of yourself, or
Right.
yeah.
oh yeah, I had said about the teenage years, and then Halsey said yes, and then that's when you didn't really interrupt anybody.
Oh well.
You ever watch Beast Wars?
No.
Nope, never heard of it.
Oh, that's sad. It's the best Transformers.
I mean, I watched both Beast Wars and Beast Machines.
Beast Machine sucks dick.
Okay.
Is that good or bad?
Bad.
Okay. Just wanted to get your perspective on sucking D. Now he's totally confused.
And Halsey left. I don't
Oh,
know
she
whether
said
she
be right
had.
back.
Oh,
So anyway, we can discuss how bad fucking Beast Machines is. Listen, Megatron did not win the Beast Wars, okay? He didn't, and yet they're acting like he did. What a terrible follow-up to an amazing show. What the fuck did they do to Rat Trap?
Look, the series had problems. I will agree, but it was still a fun thing to watch. Right? There were a lot of interesting storylines that they went down. Fucking.
I don't agree.
I mean that's fine. Like we can agree to disagree. It's not like we need to duke it out or something. Hey Vic,
Hey, what's up, Sparks? Hey, Hills.
Okay.
I don't know, man. This is just an impromptu stream because I was bored. You know, I should probably go find something else to do next time than having a stream.
Listen, I hate a lot of things, okay? I hate Beast Machines. I hate the Bayverse Transformers movies. I hate Nazis, and I hate capitalism.
How old are you, by the
Beast
way?
Machines is really bad. What's that?
Big D, how old are you? Just roughly.
You don't need to know.
Well, late 20s, early 30s, some other age.
What's it to you?
Just so that I have a better reference of where to place you in this stream of life.
The stream of life. Well, this is the stream of YouTube.
Oh, so you're not within the stream of life?
I'm on YouTube right now.
But you're not in life?
What is to be in life other than watching Transformers?
Well, that's definitely self-actualization.
I self-actualized your mom last night.
You guys are talking about.
See, I was wondering if this is Ginger. I know it's not
Beast
because
Wars
there's
is the
enough of a
worst
difference in the
of all of
voice,
them.
but yeah, that's great. I'm. Did you have to dig her up to do that?
What is happening right now? I suppose that's my fault for putting the link out. Jesus.
Did you guys know that the original villain for the new Godzilla X Kong movie was supposed to be a metaphor for communism? Then they realized that was stupid, so they went with a different plot.
Well, we know how you feel about National Socialism and capitalism. How do you feel about communism?
Sounds like he loves it.
I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Okay.
Anyways, I think this man is 19.
Yeah. Well, we're assuming he's a man. Are you a man, sir?
Fair enough.
I'm whatever I need to be.
Ooh, I like this.
You don't know what you've done. Hillary's fetch.
Yeah.
Okay, then. Now listen. The Bayverse is dog shit. Fuck Michael Bay and his stupid movies.
Okay, I'm curious. Why aren't you running your own streams and talking about how shitty Beast Machines and the Michael Bay movies are?
What was that? What was that first part?
Why aren't you running your own stream to talk about this?
I don't have a channel.
I mean, if you joined here, you must. Unless you attach yourself to something else like Twitch or I don't know what StreamYard allows you to attach with other than.
I've streamed on Twitch to play Call of Duty World of War so that I can show people how to take down a proper Nazi or two. That's about it. It's a good campaign.
How do you define Nazi?
Well, you see, they usually wave these red flags, and they're little bitches.
Well, you're describing communism. It sounds like they usually wave the red flags.
Mm-hmm.
Red, white, and black. Red, white, and blue. They spend a lot of time, putting down people for their skin color. They spend a lot of time, funding, funding genocide.
Funding genocide.
I mean,
Okay.
Did you know that?
Now you're talking about Planned Parenthood, Antifa, and BLM.
I didn't know they did genocide.
In the 1940s, they didn't spend a lot of their time funding it. It just sort of happened. I mean, as far as the total spending amount, it was way less than 0.5%.
Did you know that Adolf Hitler, when he was talking about his big plan, he credited the United States treatments of the Native Americans?
Yes,
as an
I do know that.
That shit was wild.
Yeah, he specifically pointed out the Trail of Tears and said that he wanted to do that, and that's pretty much what he did.
And now
a whole bunch of people died in boxcars on the rail
doing
line.
The same thing to Palestinians.
Ethnic cleansing ain't easy, I tell you that.
Yeah.
You've got the United States ignoring the Armenian genocide for a whole ass century.
Not our problem.
We've got Armenians here in the country. We're a little melting pot.
Shouldn't be their problem anymore then. Should worry about here.
Except we didn't even recognize that it happened. We acted like it didn't happen. We got to keep Turkey happy. It wasn't until a couple of years ago that we recognized that the Armenian genocide happened during World War I. And even then, we sit here and just sit back and watch as as Azerbaijan takes over their homeland. What a great little country of ours.
So how do you feel about Planned Parenthood?
Fully supported.
So you're pro-Nazi?
That's the Planned Parenthood isn't Nazis.
Well, you said spends a lot of their funding on genocide, and Planned Parenthood funds a disproportionate number of removal from life of mainly black babies, but also some brown, and then a tiny little bit of white.
There's the thing; those aren't babies.
Poor ones, that's all.
Those aren't babies; those are fetuses.
Oh, it sounds like you're a Nazi because you're dehumanizing them. That's what the Nazis did too. Is they said, "Oh, Jews aren't really people."
Except they're literally not people. It's a couple of cells.
And that's what they said about the Jews. They're literally not people. They have no souls.
Except the Jews are able to, walk around and exist as human beings. A couple of cells that don't even have a consciousness yet.
Okay, you're saying a couple of cells. I'm not aware of any abortion that deals with a two-celled organism.
Well, it's a good thing I didn't say two-celled organism. I said I did say that, didn't I? A couple of cells. A clump of cells, if you would.
Yeah, you said two and couple a few times.
An egg and a sperm. Just kind of sitting there. Not even alive yet.
Not even alive. So, I don't know if he's 19 anymore. Because if he has had high school biology, he would know the definition of life.
Oh, come on, man. Just because 19-year-olds nowadays don't learn shit in high school.
Yeah.
The definition of life. Of what it is to live.
There's 5 hallmarks of life. What do you think it is? They are.
I'm not sure. Why don't you tell me?
Well, I'm 49, so it's been a long time for me. But I remember it is ability to reproduce, metabolism.
Can a fetus reproduce?
To external stimuli, or maybe just respond to stimuli, and then seeking.
Do they have the ability to reproduce? A couple of cells.
I was still speaking, so I didn't hear you. But anyway, and then there's a fifth one that I'd have to look up. But those are the four that I easily remember.
So the ability to reproduce.
Well, the cells will divide, so they're actually producing themselves until they get to accumulation
Except that's
state where
not
they can actually
reproduction.
reproduce themselves.
That is reproduction.
It
That is
is.
absolutely
That's
cellular reproduction.
asexual.
Yep.
Okay, so in that case, is it murder every time we take out a fucking bacteria? Every time
The
we
school
kill
system
off
has
a virus?
failed you, buddy. It has failed you miserably.
The Buddhists would say that yes, to kill a microorganism would be murder. Now,
And again,
I would say
it's not a person. It's a clump of cells.
it does. Well, you're saying person. Now you're using a legal term, and actually they are persons, just in the same way the corporations are persons.
Corporations aren't people.
Corporations are persons. You don't know the law.
Their identities. Identity is.
Ooh, the law. Fuck the law. Fuck the corporations.
Ah, it sounds like what a Nazi would say. Screw the law. We'll do what we want.
Actually, they made their own laws to do whatever they wanted.
They sound really woke.
Yeah, the Nazis were real woke when they killed off all their
I could make
opponents.
I actually was thinking about doing a stream on how Hitler is like the patron saint of wokeness. He was a vegan, loved animals, hated smoking, was all about reproductive rights.
I heard he loved the new Little Mermaid.
Loved the new Little Mermaid. Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Oh yeah,
And
that
was
guy would
all
definitely
about,
love the new Mermaid movie. Let me tell you.
Don't tell me.
He came to life just for that movie.
Yeah.
He came back to life.
They reanimated his clone down in Brazil.
You mean Argentina?
Or Argentina. But haven't you heard of The Boys of Brazil? It was a film way before your time.
No, I'm too busy watching Transformers.
I believe it.
Well, I've certainly cured a boredom by having this stream.
Yeah.
What even is this?
Let's see, what's the chat saying?
Maybe he was vegetarian instead of vegan. I probably used the wrong term because I'm not really used to talking about that. But
I still don't get.
Yeah, in fact,
vegetarian, vegan, like.
In fact, he even had to eat Polish peasant feces in pill form to get his digestion going because he didn't eat any meat. Brick with Eyes, I agree with everything you said until you said they're right wing. Now we have to get into a definition of what we mean by right and left wing. I would say he was ultra progressive.
Ultra progressive, the way he killed the
Because
Jews.
he was all about
very
race
progressive.
and DEI and all the new stuff.
By new stuff, do you mean military military
do,
advancements?
all you have to do is substitute in Mein Kampf Jew for the word white, and they have tons of YouTube vids of you going around, or people going around asking college students. You know, they'll read a section of Mein Kampf and just substitute the word white instead of Jew. And oh yeah, definitely. Jews are whites are our misfortune. Whites are the root of all evil. Whites are the one bringing down our society. Yes, absolutely.
Well, it is going to be the white man that will kill the world.
Well, that's very racist of you, but okay. I mean, maybe.
Are you white yourself?
I'm not talking about the regular working...
You didn't answer the question.
What?
Sounds
what
white.
question?
Are you
what?
white?
I didn't... Am I... yes.
Okay, so you just want to take credit for destroying the world.
No, I'm not talking about the working, white man who, goes home and watches TV after a long shift. I'm talking about the rich, top 1% white motherfucker who doesn't give a fuck about the world and is watching it burn because they know they'll be dead by the time it's done.
Are you more of a Leninist, Stalinist, or Trotskyite?
I don't fucking know.
Okay. But yeah,
Just
that,
know I
that
don't
kind
like
of language
capitalism.
is what got 60 million Russians killed.
Jesus Christ, dude! This isn't you trolling. You're doing a shitty job. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is just
Wrong stream to
like
troll.
5th grade trolling. What are you doing? Come on, just come on. What the fuck? I've been nice. I've been keeping you here because you've been respectful and you haven't really been doing anything. Just go on, Hillary's.
Oh, I was just responding to Bricks with Eyes. Bricks with Eyes has most of it right, but I do think that he believed in some aspects of evolution because that's why he wanted his selective breeding programs.
Dude, Hitler was fucking insane. That dude believed in crazy shit, like all
Yeah, he was.
those crazy conspiracy theories about like flat Earth and the ice walls in Antarctica and all that alien shit and this and that about like
Where are you getting that he was a
weird.
flat earther? You know he was trying to put satellites in space, right?
Yeah, but I'm talking about the now not the flat Earth itself, but like aspects of the flat Earth belief of revolve around these weird like they have all these, I don't know exactly what they are, but I know there's these weird fucking ex-Nazi bullshit beliefs with the crazy, oh, the Earth is this, and there's this thing called Agartha and the ether and whatever, and crazy shit. A lot of conspiracy theories that these dumbasses believe in these days come from fucking Nazis and their crazy ass shit. You know, their whole fucking departments for looking for reasons to think that there's some ancient there genuinely is some ancient way of how the Aryan is better than everybody else.
Yeah, I mostly agree with you there, except where did those Nazi departments get their ideas from? From the British and the Russians. And some French and Italian and others too, but mainly British and Russia.
Well, I'm sure it had to evolve from somewhere, but those dumbasses really, put it out there, and because the entirety of Europe was filled to the brim with all that crazy shit and all that hateful nonsense. The Germans were just the ones that weaponized it and put it to use so that they can gain more power.
Yeah, they had some really crazy occult beliefs. No question about that.
Well, I mean, with the cult beliefs of the Nazis, you're talking about they're looking for, like, let's say the Holy Grail or something like that. This is no different from the U.S. I think it was Roosevelt implemented, their little gang of spiritual seekers, mind control, thought experiments, all that stuff. So we're no different. As a matter of fact, I think we not even took, but used and continued what they were doing.
Oh, I'm sure the United States is full of its own fucking crazy bullshit. They love their little racist projects.
Well, a lot of that again came from England and Spain.
Both known for their crazy racism.
Exactly. They've kind of hidden it from history, but there are tons of YouTube videos about it. How they had human zoos and the British especially, they like dehumanized the native peoples of wherever they wanted to colonize, and they would even bring some individuals back to England to put on exhibits, like traveling exhibits,
Cowboy
to make
Cody's
fun of them and
Traveling
make them do
Circus.
really horrible stuff.
Yeah, it was Cowboy Cody and his Traveling Circus. They even got Geronimo to join that, and pretty weird.
Yeah, but that wasn't near as bad as what they did 100 years earlier in England. Like in England, they would get somebody from, I'm trying to remember because I just watched last night on Infographics.
Are you talking about where they have like the human zoos where they get people from different places and they would set them up in little areas and have them like play out their little thing and
yes, exactly.
It's I seen that. Pretty weird.
That's
but you know what? They didn't have TV back then, so how are they going to see the natives? You know what I mean? It's almost like
PJ, you fucking asshole.
No, I'm serious. It's like I want to know how they live and stuff like that. I'll go check them out. I mean, it would be nice to make fun of them, But as a sign of the times, I would go look at them and see how they dress and act, just because it'd be interesting to do, just as you would on TV to watch something these days.
I think they knew it was bad back then too. I mean, this was the time of.
I'm
this
sure
was during
some
the
people
time
saw
of
it as
the.
dehumanizing, but it was still like exciting. It was new. It was something different. It was, so everybody was into
maybe
it.
if you were a dumbass looking for some cheap entertainment.
Like I said, sign of the times. A lot of people were dumbasses back then. Just like today, there's going to be something in 100 years. They're going to call us dumbasses for what we're doing right now, and we're going to look just as stupid as they did back then. It's the way it goes.
I mean, I suppose having live streams is pretty stupid, but hey, you know what? People do it anyway.
Oh yeah, they're
like
just going to have
was
direct.
fine first time.
They're just going to have direct hive minds then, and just link in together like Odo, and they're going to say how archaic and primitive it was to actually log on to a server and talk with your friends over the internet. How pathetic!
Basically, yeah.
Right, something, yeah.
QTC is saying that he thinks Himmler only had one ball, just like Hitler. Now, Hitler, I think, had syphilis, and that caused one of his balls to rot off. Either that or it was World War One. But Himmler, I think, had both his balls because he was actually part of the Lebensborn breeding program. So if he only had one ball, it would be kind of difficult to do that.
Yep.
He'll work twice as hard at it.
Yeah.
You know, something that always bothered me about like Hitler is that he somehow convinced everybody that that he was an Aryan blood, yet he didn't have blonde hair or blue eyes. It's like, do you dumbasses not see that he has black hair and like brown eyes?
True. Lots of the Nazis, lots of them had Jewish blood. And try to cover it up, but like Hitler's mom, I think, was Jewish.
No, that would be
racists
his dad.
Are usually stupid pieces of shit.
I'm not sure about his mom, but but his dad was rumored to have like a quarter Jewish in him. I believe that's part of the reason why he invaded Poland, because there was somewhere I don't remember. I remember watching an old like documentary on a History Channel before they went to shit, and they mentioned that it was either Poland or somewhere else that there was evidence that his father was like part Jewish, and he got rid of that. Take it with a grain of salt. I don't know.
Well, see, my understanding was his dad was whatever he was, but not Jewish. But his mom had like a quarter Jewish, or half, or something like that. And that it's matrilineal, so it goes down through the mothers, according to Jewish custom.
Okay.
And even though his mom was wonderful, he viewed her as weak because she never stood up to his dad, and so that was part of his beginning of the hatred of Jews, that they wouldn't stand up for themselves.
Okay, brick with eyes, because you pointed that out. One of the things that bothered me about Hitler. Okay, am I clear now? Sorry, I had to address that.
Okay.
Nah, you love Hitler.
Well, you've been talking about Nazis almost since you come on. I mean, if there was a Nazi Transformer, I bet you'd be the biggest fan.
Believe it or not.
There should be, right?
Believe it or not, there's a third-party figure in China that's based off the what the fuck is it called? The Gustavo gun.
Himmler, or I'm trying to think of that other real tall guy. Mine's looking, but anyway, his mother Clara, who he looks a ton like, by the way, Clara Polzl, I guess is how you pronounce it. Polzl. Mit Umlaut.
All right, well, I'm bored, so I'm going to go ahead and get going.
All right.
Okay. Are you going to give us a Zeke Heil before you go?
He left already.
Okay.
Damn mouse. Ugh.
Poor Nazis. Always, everybody's knocking the Nazis. You know, they're just doing their job. They're just soldiers at war, man. You know.
Yeah, most of the soldiers weren't even party members. When people say Nazi, that's why I wanted to find out. Does he mean like members of the party? Do you have to have a party badge with an enrollment number? Or do you just, like he said, if you wave a red flag and believe in genocide and some of this other stuff like, BLM, Antifa, and Planned Parenthood, then I guess that makes them Nazis. According
know,
I
to
think
his
he's
definition.
confused with neo Nazis. I
Well,
think
yeah,
with
know,
the breed of
you-
American Nazis. Doesn't really understand the differences between the two.
You
Or
know,
does
a lot
not
of people, a lot of people have never been taught that there have been a lot of Jewish people who basically betrayed their own kind, just for perks, and they became collaborator. Right on the other side, there were people who were like, "Dude, Hitler's a fucking asshole. We need to kill him." It always baffles me how how these days at least we go Nazis bad, Jews good, without like the fucking nuance of it.
If the Jews were so good, why did Nazis want to get rid of them? Why why were they I mean he said get out, we don't want you guys here, you're this and that. I'm sure it was a certain type, even offered them free rides home and ways to get out. It's the ones that said we're going to stay and fight for our home or hide are the ones that got executed. I don't know how much time they had to get out, but he did tell them to get out.
You said a joke wrong.
Oh,
I did not see it coming. It was never mind. But
Nazi, yeah,
yeah, well
coming.
played, good try, even though it wasn't.
Yeah, QTF. Again, people say, "Oh, Antifa just means
Oh,
anti-fascist."
look who joined! Look who joined the party.
Oh, who? Oh, I see now. I
Yeah.
see. Yeah, the victim blaming. I don't know. You joined kind of late. But anyway, QTC says Antifa is just anyone who's against fascism. But Antifa is literally fascist. Look at I forget if it's 6 or 7 points of fascism from like the 1920s, and Antifa fits fascism exactly. They want state control over production. They want union, like labor union compulsory for everybody. They are literally, Antifa are literally fascists. And it was liberals who sold out with BLM like they always do when shit hits the fan. Well, I don't know what you mean by sold out, but BLM was never about black lives. They never cared about black lives. They admitted their whole program was about the Marxist destruction of the nuclear family, and they said a few other things. And they said that BLM, they just chose that name because it was really catchy, because who's going to say that black lives don't matter?
Fucking assholes.
And Brick, you're not listening. You're saying Nazi was anti-union dipshit. Well, I didn't say Nazi. I said fascism in the 1920s. So that was pre-Nazi. So yeah, the fascists, again, if you look up syndicalism, fascism is very pro-union. That's what the fascists illustrates. Is a whole bunch of single reeds of straw banded together to be a mighty axe. So yeah, you need to look up some history, look up syndicalism.
Okay, and what's with the insult, Brick with eyes? Like, was calling him a dipshit necessary? Did the Hillary's insult you in what he said? No. I don't know, Hillary's. I'm sure it doesn't bother you, but it's just like, why the insult?
Yeah. Well, he didn't put a comma there, so I read it the way that he wrote it. Nazi was anti-union dipshit. As opposed to Nazi was anti-union dipshit. Maybe that was too nuanced. Fascists love collective bargaining and fair wages. Bah ha ha ha. Yes, exactly. Learn some history. That is fascism. Collective bargaining. Well, you're saying fair wages. I'd say exploitative wages. But when I say that, you would automatically
So
assume that I meant the worker was being exploited. And that's not what I said. I said exploitative wages. So they're exploiting the means of production.
so hang on. Hang on. Because when you were wrong, you are a dipshit. Does that apply to you when you're wrong?
Yes, I think Bricks with Eyes admits he's a dipshit. He is clearly and evidently wrong.
It's like, okay, if you're wrong, you're a dipshit. Okay, well, what if you turn out to be wrong? Does that make you the dipshit?
Well,
I
again,
don't think you thought that through.
this is what people call Nazi, even though that's actually not part of the Nazi program. But yeah, when you call other people name, oh, you belong to this category of human, therefore you're this something horrible. So you're just a clump of cells. Yeah, you're a Jewish surgeon, maybe cardiac surgeon. Oh, you're not really a human. You're just a clump of cells. Let's send you to Dachau. I mean, that's the kind of crazy crap that these leftist woke people come up with. And yes, Hitler was the very patron saint of woke. He was all about DEI. He was all about, whites were the racially oppressed. So he treated whites the way the blacks are treated in America, and he treated Jews the way the whites are being, or at least they're attempting to treat whites in America. And I've seen some horrendous videos from Britain and Canada that if you even say that priests, and you hope me I'm being sarcastic, only somewhat, Scientist Sam. Um, but
Okay,
there was
Henry.
some priest that got killed by a Muslim in Australia, and this guy in the UK went on and said, "I hope all the Christians are watching this. Look at this happen. The government doesn't care." They sent 3 police over to his place and were like grilling him, trying to get him to make statements against himself. And they don't have the right um, against self-incrimination and the right to keep silent, or the right to have their home be inviolate, without a court order. So the police in England can just walk into your home and you can't say anything about it. They can interrogate you, and you have a duty
Henry's.
to. Uh huh.
I kicked him out, but do you want Sam to join?
No.
Never mind then. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you.
But no, it's just, I mean, we're seeing all this stuff today, and people don't seem to realize it. Like, I am a classical liberal, but progressives are so far to the left that they almost circle around the spectrum. They just go too far. And we don't see it today, but we're becoming an Orwellian state. They're burning books, and you're not allowed to say this. We're going to cancel you. You're not going to be able to work. That's the same stuff the Nazis did. Well, Scientist Sam, I'm not looking from today's perspective lens. I'm looking for actual historical documents from the time. Because lots of times you get a left-leaning, I don't know. It's not a straight line from A to B. It's more, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I know, Q2C. As soon as I said that, I knew that that was going to come up. Yeah, I don't really like that either. Well, I mean, I don't know if Midnight wants me to say on stream the actual graphic depictions in some of those books, but some of them are literally cheese pizza, if you know what I mean. They're
Jesus Christ.
graphic depictions of, an older guy performing oral on a very young man. Well, I say man. I don't actually mean adult male.
Yeah, we got that. Thank you.
Okay.
Don't
What's the
say
definition
gay
of woke?
pills.
Didn't say gay. Yeah, again, bricks. You don't even know. You can call it a "Don't Say Gay" bill, just like you can call it Antifa. It's the very opposite of what it says. There's nothing in there that says you can't say you're gay. It says that straight people, as well as gay people, because of equality, aren't allowed to talk about their family life, their husbands and wives, and all that sort of stuff,
I
or
like
about
Sam
anything
better.
sexual. So you could easily call it the "Don't Say Straight" bill. And
I
banning
like
books, yeah, CP is illegal.
I liked Sam better back when he made jokes about things like George Floyd. God damn Bond. Uh, I don't know how I feel
QPC.
about this stream, honestly.
Yeah, it took a hard turn. A silly transformer. And as far as trans, I don't even know how they felt about it back then. Um, there were a lot of guys that dressed up as women, and in the early part of the Nazi rule of the government, I don't think they had a problem with it. Like from 36 to 38, it was only when war broke out that they started getting all crazy with the puritanical nonsense of you can't dress up, you can't cross dress, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. In fact, I mean, some of the very first Nazis were gay. Ernst Röhm, very prominent Nazi, very hyper
Also,
gay.
also, I would like to point out that everyone here knows that the Nazis were ableist, transphobic, racist, and all those wonderful things you guys
Yep.
listed. So thank you for reminding us because we obviously forgot.
Who was it
Everything
that had to
everybody else
list it
is.
out?
That's all.
What was that?
Everything everybody
Who,
else is in their own way.
Try again, Hillary's.
who was it that listed all those out?
Okay, let's see. Sam, Rick, extremely anti-trans, anti-gay, racist, and then a few messages down he says also ableist. Like,
Oh, okay.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
They were ableist. What do you want me to do about it? I can't go back in time and stop them.
Yeah, that's true. Those are all horrible policies, and I'm in no favor of Nazism. I wish that after even before World War One, maybe, but definitely after World War One, I wish that they would have just been more pacifist and said we're going to work on science and the economy. Oh, Brick with Eyes, even though he was prominently gay, I mean, you can go back to actual film clips and audio clips of Ernst Röhm. He was very gay, very, very gay. They said that to demonize
Okay,
him.
okay. Apparently, I need to challenge you on your historical revisionism because apparently you denied the Nazis being those things. I don't get
No,
Sam's
I agree.
fucking
They were all those horrible things. They went way into left field. It was horrible.
like.
But in fact, I mean, I even from the beginning, I don't like their policies. Because, and again, a lot of people deny it, but there are streams that they show it, different channels that they were socialists. They were actually portrayed themselves as more moderate than the international communists because they're going to limit themselves to national socialism rather than international communism. And so then they thought, well, we'll just have government ownership of the means of production, but we won't actually strip people of their private wealth. And Scientist Sam, you hear what you want to hear. A lot of what I'm saying was pushed back against that other guy. But if we're to return to baseline, then yeah, I really don't have much of anything positive to say about the Nazis.
His
I'm struggling to
characterization
think of
of
anything.
Nazis ignored several important aspects, such as anti-communism.
Yes, that's what I was just saying. They portray themselves as the more moderate form of national socialism as opposed to international communism. And actually, I saw a video 2 days ago that Hitler was actually an elected communist. People think that the chancellor was his very first political position. It wasn't. He was a regional communist, whatever that's called. I don't know the German name for it. Counselor, I guess. Councilman.
Chancellor?
No, it was way
never
before
mind.
he became
Yeah, never mind.
chancellor. But no, he was actually elected as a Communist Party official. And it says, right, it was the communists that defeated the fascists. Well, again, you're mixing up terms there. That's like saying it was Ford that beat Chevy, and so that's how we know that Chevy wasn't a car company. Yeah, exactly, Brick with Eyes. They did strip Jews of their private wealth. Yeah, nobody's saying that this doesn't happen. All I'm saying was that in 1932 and 1928, I wanted to say, maybe even earlier in the 20s, that wasn't their stated goal. That was a later development. Yes, anti-communism was a central plank because they promoted socialism instead of communism. And just so that people in the side chat don't get the wrong idea, I am vehemently anti-Nazi. I just don't think that it's helpful to continue the lies that are told against them when the actual stuff they did was far worse. Like we all get told about how many people got gassed. Do not realize that actually a lot of people starved to death and died of dehydration in cattle cars on their way to the camps? That was actually the main way of killing them because it didn't cost the government anything just to let them, you know.
Yeah, that's such an insult to those who lived through the starvation and the beatings
Mhm.
and the. Ugh.
Yeah, if anything, I think that the people who promote the gas chamber theory are the um, Holocaust deniers because they're making it seem like, oh, they just peacefully went to sleep in the shower. It's no
Which is
big deal.
ironic.
No, it was like 3
Ironic.
days of horrible misery that just
No. I
unimaginable
meant
immense pain.
no. I meant them pushing the gas chamber as being as being like Holocaust denial. Like to try to push that
Mhm.
as a way of saying, oh, the Holocaust was worse. But I was just trying to say it's ironic that they're trying to push that. When never mind.
QTC, you want an actual fact? I know that we had a discussion of wokeness before, like a year or more ago. I don't remember what we decided the actual definition was, but someone else gave a better definition than me, so I'll just let them go by that. And scientist Sam, I'm going off of the. I'm gonna have to look it up again, but I think it's the. I'm trying to remember the Jewish Encyclopedia or something. I forget. I looked up the sources before, and there were like 3 Jewish sources that point out that if you look at the actual. Oh, QTC was there. He was actually there when it was coined. Well, oh, we got a charter member here of wokeness. And so you were there back in, was it the 1920s that it was first being used? So I want to hear you in the jazz era, explain to us what the jazz singers were talking about when they said that they were woke. And yes, Brick with Eyes, I agree. They had death camps, concentration camps, and slave camps. But the death camps, they were actually starved and beaten and a whole lot of worse stuff than just peacefully falling asleep. I think that people don't. I think that you're trying to hide the horror of their actual lives by just giving them that easy out. Yeah, I'm working the crowd. That's right. Get them
Truly an
all.
inspiration to me.
Yeah,
I mean, I do mean that genuinely, by the way.
I'm getting them all frothy. But even the Germans were like really good at accounting and keeping numbers, and so we know how many were gassed, how many died of a disease, how many died of starvation, stuff like that. And I can assure you, I would much rather peacefully fall asleep than to have 3 days of the most agonizing torment imaginable.
Yeah. All you
Yes,
have
QTC.
to
I actually agree with that definition.
all you really have to do is watch Life is Beautiful to see how well. I mean, it's obviously worse in real life, but it wasn't exactly a picnic in the movie. It's a Wonderful Life, which, by the way, very beautiful Italian movie. If you've seen it, Hillary's.
I've not seen it.
Yeah. Maria La Chiave. I really suggest you watch it. I'll recommend, I should say.
I am actually agreeing with QTC's last two comments about how it came about originally and how it was started. But Bricks with Eyes, again, you don't listen to what I say. I didn't say it was pleasant to be gassed. I just said that dying peacefully from it, is a lot different than 3 days of the most agonizing torment where all of your internal organs are shutting down and you're developing sepsis and all these other horrible things. No, I'm against the modern incarnation of it. No, the original version of woke I'm actually for. But I'm against the Nazi DEI of, this race is bad and it doesn't matter if everything you've done your entire life is wonderful and saintly. You were born this skin color and that makes you bad. That's what I'm against. Or the actual systemic oppression and racism of, this race needs to get preferential hiring policies, and this race needs to be kept out of college because there's too many Asians in college. So we need to just, even if they have a perfect ACT or SAT score, we're going to go ahead and deny them. No, Scientist Sam. Hitler was most definitely DEI. And I'm not saying all of Nazism, I'm saying Hitler himself with his racial policies and crazy speeches that he gave. Again, all you have to do is search on YouTube. There are people who will go to college campuses and other, public places and read sections from Mein Kampf, just replacing the word Jew with white, and all these DEI woke. I'm not going to slander the people, but anyway, that they will. Oh yeah, we agree. Whites are all this horrible. Whites are all this. You're taking it too personal and making. Well,
I think to be fair, and I could be wrong here. UTC might be talking to Sam. To be fair, I'm not sure he can clarify, but this comment is beautiful. As an
yeah.
oppressed brown man, I demand Hillary's to massage my feet.
Bond, you don't have to demand it. If you were here, I would just do it willingly without even being asked.
Jesus.
And as a semi-oppressed brownish red man, I would hope you would do the same.
Albinos are oppressed in Africa. Does that count?
Absolutely.
I'm a minority.
Yeah, you're an extreme minority. That's right.
Yeah. It's funny. It took Smokey Saint to point that out. I never realized I was a minority until someone pointed it out. Like, what? Jesus. Well,
I don't know who QTC is talking to, but I agree with a ton of the stuff that he says.
My gut tells me he's talking to Sam, but
Okay.
that's just my gut. He can clarify if he wants. Like I said.
Okay.
Though you guys seem to have been agreeing mostly throughout this
Right.
chat. And as far as I see, you haven't been taking anything personally. Well, that remains to be determined, Sam. Midnight left white privilege and became Fuck you. Fuck you, Bond. You're lucky you're adorable.
Scientist Sam's making fat jokes about you midnight.
So what? I'm fat. Get over it. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, he's trying to what's that called? Humble. Oh man, now I'm gonna lose it.
Humble brag?
Yeah, humble brag by showing us his great use of words. Adiposity, meaning fatness. At QTC, I agree. Definitely some communications and semantics issues you have to
Yes.
get into.
By the way, QTC, would you mind clarifying who you were talking about? Because I really want to know.
Because I kind of think he was talking to me, but you kind of think he was talking to Sam. So Halsey's drinking beer, so not lapping up the white privilege. QTC, when you say right winger, I need to know what you mean. Do you mean the religious and what are those called? The monarchists? Maine died talking. Yeah, me. Yeah, my name is Hillary. I mean, it's right there. You can see my little ring expand when I talk.
So you were saying that Hillary's is mostly misunderstanding and taking things personally? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think that's what he's saying, and there's a little bit of that. Yeah, there's a little bit of personal animosity.
I don't think how using the word adiposity is bragging. That's just language. Lol.
Yeah, again, humble brag. You know that the vast majority of people won't know what adipose tissue is.
Okay, Sam, you pointing out I'm fat. Is it really doing anything? Okay, I'm fat. What do you want me to do about it? Oh, lose weight. Well, as far as you know, I've been trying.
Well, he's trying to make fun of you of the oppression aspect.
Yeah, Sam. Well, whatever. I am oppressed and didn't get over it.
That's right.
Doesn't mean I'm a victim.
Corporate-owned media that only exists to support the status quo. Okay, so do you mean CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, NBC? I don't know if CBS is really bad about it, but most of the other ones, even Fox, to me, seem to be pushing agendas.
I love this comment. You're still talking, Lo. That means it seems to be doing something.
Yeah.
I guess he's saying that even though I'm fat, I'm still alive. Therefore, I must be doing something right. I don't fucking know.
Yeah. Okay, well, yeah, QTC, like I said earlier, I think you might be my newest friend.
Careful, he bites.
Yeah, I do. Okay, that's a form of conservatism you mean. Because I'm socially liberal but fiscally conservative. And I don't mind pushing some progressive economic agendas, but I would be selective. Like I'm for the national parks and the Forestry Service and stuff like that, but I think the EPA and FDA both do overreach and that they are kleptocracies. That they exist just to steal and screw people over. Well, just like this thing. I don't know if any of you know it, but apparently Joe Biden went to a Sheetz gas station. It's like a convenience store in Pennsylvania. And because he didn't get the just showering with glory treatment that he was expecting, he has now had the DOJ sue, no, not the DOJ, the EOC, I think, Equal Opportunity Employment. Anyway, he's had them sue that chain of gas stations, supposedly because they do criminal background checks that disproportionately affects blacks, and so therefore, this is racial discrimination. Now, I know of cases where businesses like this have been sued for not keeping the customers safe, by not doing background checks and stuff like that. So I think that's just crazy. I mean, it's just a little spat, literally suing a gas station for making him look bad, but they didn't make him look bad. He made himself look bad. Yeah, I agree. QTC, between private and personal property. Scientist Stam addressed this to QTC, but he addressed the statement that I made. So I'm not really. Almost meaningless in a political context. Well, it depends on what you mean by political context. If it comes to governmental policies, then yeah, I'm for a lot of governmental policies that would be viewed as liberal. But I'm against overreach, though. I think that public schools were a really good situation when they began, of ensuring that everyone gets up to a sixth grade education. But I think that giving everybody free all the way up into college and sometimes even master's degrees is kind of stupid, especially if it's a master's degree where you spent $200,000 of your neighbor's money in order for you to get a theater degree or a transgender underwater basket weaving degree.
Yeah, a lot of people don't really think the whole free college aspect through, do they? Or free
No.
healthcare in general.
Yeah. I don't have any problem with people getting a master's or even a doctorate in transgender underwater basket weaving. I just think it should be privately funded. You know, I don't think that your neighbor who's been
Yep.
working since they were 12 years old should be the one paying for it. QTC, that's very true. And, you know, as much as I talk down China, they might actually have a fairly good system. I disagree with their oppression and a number of things, but they are smart enough to realize, hey, we do need some corporate ownership of business because the government is not doing it. I mean, the Chinese economic policies are responsible for the largest genocide in history of over, what was it, like 100 million people?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, in like a 1 or 2 year period, because they were forcing all the farmers to do all these industrial projects that were shit, because they were
Funny
taking
how
people
nobody
who,
talks about that. Sorry to interrupt, but go ahead.
yeah, the Great Leap Forward. Yeah, they were taking people with no metallurgy background and saying, instead of farming, we want you to make steel. And so they said, okay. And again, under communism, all they care about is production numbers. They don't care about quality control. So they're coming up with really horrible, crappy pig iron like steel, and that was totally brittle, rusted, was horrible.
Isn't that what they
And
accuse capitalism of doing?
no, under capital, well, I don't know what they
No.
accuse of.
Because what you just said, right? Under communism, they do a shitty job. They don't care about the quality. I think that that's something levied at capitalism, which in a way is kind of true, concerning a lot of stuff that comes out nowadays.
Yeah,
Bricks so
that's a
fucking.
that's a fair criticism. But my point was that they don't even do quality control. All they care about is production numbers.
Oh
Under
yeah.
capitalism, they do quality control, but they may intentionally make the product worse so that you have to buy more of them, like they did with light bulbs.
Yeah, cell phones these days, like the Nokia phone, dude. That thing was a fucking brick. You dropped it
Mm,
so many times, it always worked.
yeah.
Phones nowadays are so brittle, so fucking. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted you, but I was just a comment
Well, I
on
think,
shitty.
yeah, I think light bulbs are the perfect example. They actually came up with a quasi-governmental quality institute where if your bulb lasted longer than an average of, I think it was 6,000 hours, you actually got dinged for it and fined. So they were taking planned obsolescence to the extreme.
I'm sorry, I just don't see him. I just don't see how he's being. He's getting personal. Like he's responding to what you're saying. Like really confused whenever people say, "Oh, you're taking things too personally." Okay, well, how would you like me to respond to you? Like I'm
Yeah, it
responding
would
to
help.
you. Like you telling me I'm taking this personally. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. He made the comment, I think free education greatly benefits society. Well, first off, nothing in life is free. If somebody tells you it's free, that's the most expensive it's going to get because you're going to pay for it one way or another. And then, how much free education? Do you really think that spending $200,000? Because I gave a very specific example. I said that I thought that when public education started out, whereas the first 6 years were free, that actually made sense. That you do want a certain level of intelligence and education for everyone, but beyond that, you only certain types of jobs and people with a certain ability should continue getting the education. And if you make it free for everybody, if you make it free for someone who just is in an IQ in the 60s, and you're going to pay for them, to go to college and everything else after going to remedial classes all their life, I think that's a huge waste of money. And I can show charts that'll show that. Um, as far as, again, I think it's taking it too personal. Yeah, I'm with Midnight. You're going to have to define what you mean by personal. Give me an example because I can see some ways that I'm taking it personally, but I'm not sure if that's the way that you mean it. Person studying underwater basket weaving isn't the reason shit's fucked up. You're right. It's the idiot senators and congressmen who voted to have your neighbor fund the underwater basket weaving for $200,000. And it's the college officials who said, well, if the government's going to give us all this money and we're not going to really have to do anything in return, let's just build more stadiums for our sports teams, which actually make us money. And let's build more student housing and force students to pay for the student housing even if their parents live literally 1 mile away from campus and they could live there for free. So that's what I mean. So yeah, it's the whole system. Whenever the government gets involved, it screws things up because the invisible hand of the market tends to adjust things under, and I'll say consumerism rather than capitalism. The consumer decides whether or not to buy the product. So if you make a shitty iPhone, people aren't going to buy iPhones. If you make a great iPhone, everyone will want an iPhone, and you'll get more money to do research and production. Yeah, people really need to take a few business courses.
Apparently, QTC is more concerned about billionaires wasting their money rather than the, average Joe. If I understood his
Okay.
argument correctly.
Well, I disagree when you say no one wastes money like they do because at least they're wasting their own money. Whereas I'd say the U.S. Congress is the very worst money waster because they're stealing from all of us at gunpoint and then throwing the money away to their political cronies or to nonsense make work programs. And we've
But
got tons of
Hillary's,
examples.
Hillary's, don't you get that people like Elon Musk and Bezos don't make their own money? They steal it from the workers.
If they were kidnapping the employees and whipping them and abusing them, then I would agree. But as long as it's a voluntary
I know I'm being facetious.
contract, no, I agree. I know you're making the point for them, kind of sarcastically, but that's why I'm addressing the point that they would be making. But as long as the people engage in these voluntary contracts, then no, it's not theft. You're getting something out of it. And if you think that you're pulling out more than you're putting in, start your own business. Then tell me how tough it is. I've had
Yep,
some.
I was right. I was right. I was right. Look at
Yeah,
that.
CEOs don't do jack shit.
Wow, you're predictable. I'm sorry. I just met you, but wow, that was predictable.
I think that CEOs are overcompensated, and I'm not really sure why that is. I'm sure if I delved into it, I would figure it out. But I think the CEOs do a whole lot that people don't realize.
I think I could be wrong here, but I think the reason why they get so compensated as much is because they are literally in charge of every other department under them. They are the boss of bosses, the
Yeah.
managers of managers. So that's why. So that's why they get so much money. They have literally more responsibility than anyone in the company, other than the
Yes.
board.
Yes. Exactly. As far as a single person, they have the most responsibility of anybody. It's not shared the way that the board shares it or all that. And yeah, they have to constantly watch what the different departments are doing and make adjustments. Your thing about the threat of starvation and homelessness, I kind of agree. But if we weren't paying the onerous taxes to the government, we could have a lot better negotiating power with private industry. And, everybody used to have a vegetable garden. Now, you know that there are states that have repossessed people's land and houses just because they had vegetable gardens that they said they could have sold. Uh, and therefore, even though they didn't sell it, they ate it themselves. The fact that they could have sold it means now it's an IRS issue because it involves interstate commerce. Now, how is eating a carrot interstate commerce? But the IRS determined that it is. And so they went ahead and just put a lien on the person's property and then repossessed it.
Wow. They just tell they just need to tell us work or starve, and if you don't, you're gay. I
Now,
mean,
you mentioned me taking it personally. That last comment, I think maybe showing a little bit of personal bias. I don't know why being gay would have anything to do with it, but work or starve, well, that's just it, though. That's what I'm saying. If you could grow your own food, if you could have your own um, livestock, then you don't starve, and then you employ other people. I mean, just look at the history of private capital. Even the word capital comes from owning head of cattle.
that is interesting. I did not know that.
Yep,
Capital cattle.
yep.
Okay, I can kind of see. Uh,
And Brick with Eyes, that's correct. Private industry does avoid paying the cost of R&D. They want to push that on the taxpayer. And why is that? Because they are getting taxed so heavily and they're so heavily regulated by government officials that they say, well, okay, since this is the way the game's played, we'll go ahead and wink, wink, donate so much money into your political campaign. And then we want you to turn around and give us 20 times that benefit in tax payouts from the
what do you
workers.
think? What do you think of what Sam said? I honestly don't know anything about it, so I can't really comment on it. Like I
Again, that's the same thing. This is the tax system that the rich people paid for. Yeah, most billionaires are tax avoiders because they're compensated in equity. Well, first off, if once they pay their sell their stock options, they do get capital gains. So they're not totally avoiding taxes, but they are avoiding the standard income tax by paying capital gains instead. But again, that's the tax system that the government put into place. Billionaires didn't write the tax law. Now, I could make the argument that actually they did write the tax law, then they forced Congress to approve it, which technically that is what happened. But the point is, it's the Congress had to vote on it. So yeah, I'm with you for the most part on that statement. But again, all the Congress has to do when they complain about the billionaires, stop doing the bidding of the billionaires. And as long as you're going to push their agenda, then of course you're going to get what you're getting. But that's how they drum up the vote, is by complaining about the people that they're in bed with. It's like a prostitute complaining about her John. Well, then maybe, go to work at McDonald's. Yeah, it's going to be a different type of bad work environment, but still. Oh, Scientist Sam's laying it down on Brick with Eyes. Yes, exactly, QTC. Our government does work to be again. Are you sure that we're not related somehow? Because like a lot of stuff you're typing could have come from me, except I wouldn't have said rich assholes. But I mean, yeah, a
Do
lot
you
of
have
the
a
content
kid?
is very similar.
Do you have a kid out there that you don't know about Hillary's?
I might. I don't know. I think there have been presidents that have even said the government of business is no, the business of government is big business, meaning the corporations are the lifeblood of our economy. That if as great as small businesses are, it's the corporations that provide most of the goods and services and a huge amount of employment
I mean, on its face, that
and stability.
sounds yeah, it sounds good in in the sense that there's corporations that they offer jobs and they make products and all that, but when you look at it what it's become, it seems like a bad thing. Like, you know what I mean?
Um,
Unless I completely misphrased that, in which case I apologize.
Corporations are kind of bad masters, but they keep the economy stable. Like they've got so much capitalization, either mid or large cap, that they can weather most storms. Whereas small businesses will go under if the economy turns. But small companies are where most of the innovation comes from because they're willing to take risks that the big guys aren't. So there's a need for each. And yes, I do support privatization more. I think that the government, anytime the history shows, anytime the government gets involved, they tend to screw things up. It's definitely a pseudo oligarchy, yes, but it's more of a, I want to say meritocracy, but that really isn't accurate either. But yeah, if there are like 20 corporations that rule America, that wouldn't surprise me. And if that's the case, isn't Congress just kind of getting in the way? Maybe we should have a direct voting system where
Preaching
we
to the
where
choir. Unless I'm using that wrong, but yes, I agree with you, QTC.
yes, I depending upon the welfare program, I think means testing is important. But in cases like Social Security, I also agree that the amount that you contributed should have an effect. So even if you're not poor, if you've put into Social Security for 30 years and then you become disabled, well, I think you should probably get the max payout for disability, whatever that is. I don't even know, but I know a woman named Joanne who had that. She paid in the maximum amount for like 30 years, and then when she finally became disabled because of health reasons in her 60s or maybe it was 50s, I don't know, but anyway, like she got the maximum benefit. And a doc about how inflation isn't real. Well, it depends on what you mean by real, but inflation definitely exists. That's what is at the root of modern monetary policy. Is they just keep printing more and more money and spreading it out. That's what our what's that term? When they loan out the same dollar 8 times, with fractional reserve lending. So that's what I mean. The fractional reserves lending system is the basis of inflation, which is the basis of modern monetary policy. But I wish that it was more like in Roman times, where we had the forum, which is what Congress is supposed to be, where people could take the items that they actually want to Congress instead of just paying lobbyists to do it for them. And then the lobbyists aren't actually speaking on the floor of the House. Instead, they just have to take people to lunch and pay them money to listen to them, which is kind of messed up because that's what taxes are for. If you're going to take my taxes, you should have to listen to what I say. And just like there are, let's say, quarterly stock shareholder meetings, maybe we need to have quarterly voting on government policies and still have directors in charge of the different things. That's one of the things I like about Europe is they have a more direct effect on who the actual officials are. Like in America, you can vote for maybe 2 senators and 1 congressman, and that's it. But you still have all these other senators and congressmen that they're working against. So your vote really goes to shit because as a senator, instead of saying these are the policies I want to put forward, you have to say, I want somebody who's going to vote against spending and taxing increases, or I want somebody that's for this type of legislation, and then be a single issue voter like abortion or whatever single issue, Planned Parenthood, whatever. You know what I mean.
Did you see the last 3 comments, by the way?
I'm reading them now. I do agree that voting on direct policies has had disastrous outcomes. That's why I'm saying that I like the European system better, where you can vote on the directors. Like, for instance, I don't think that Mayorkas would have gotten in place if we had been voting on the director of Homeland Security instead of just putting him there. Instead of Biden just appointing him. If we could take like block of the military budget for social, well, depends on how you look at it. Again, I have a feeling that you might be a bit younger too, because a lot of the military budget is social spending. Look at the actual breakdown of the military budget. A lot of it goes toward wages and healthcare and food and housing and stuff like that. Now, there's a lot of waste that goes into weapon systems. Definitely, I'd like to see that cut. Less anarchistic than I used to be because I've been questioning whether it comes from being raised in a hyper-individualistic culture. Just do yourself, which is inaccessible. Yeah, that's part of the problem again. We've got entire generations of people that have grown up in Section 8 housing, welfare, stuff like that are being told, you can never become anything, you can never make anything of yourself. The best you can do is siphon off money from people that are better than you. And I think that is very dehumanizing and devaluing to the individual. I think we should be telling people, hey, we're going to help you out. We're going to help you, if your parents can't do much, then we're going to help you during the first 16 or so years of your life. And then you can decide for yourself, do you want to go on to higher education? If so, you need to have scores that are high enough to show that it would actually be worth the investment. Or you can go in the military, or you can go into private work. It's up
You know
to
what's
you.
what's more fucked up about that? Like, yeah, people on welfare, people on that, tell them they don't amount to anything, and they should be glad for what they get because they're from others better. But then they'll be like, oh, you're such a fucking leech. Why are you even on here? What are you doing? Like, why don't you improve yourself, motherfucker? It's it's the whole double bind thing. Narcissists really love putting you in, right? Like, okay, well, you know what I mean? Never mind. Go ahead.
Okay, I read Sam's comment just now. Yeah. Um, well, you're talking about good data. The whole point of the welfare queen was because of, again, the shitty way that Congress has chosen to write the laws back in the 70s and 80s. There were people who could make more money on welfare, and actually even to today, I think, at least in the mid 2000s, mid and late, you could make, I think they said that a housekeeper in New Hampshire would have to make $60,000 a year in order to offset how much she could get just by sitting at home on her butt off of welfare, off of all the different programs that she can harvest. And I know, like, for instance, my dad worked 2 jobs. He was a civil servant for the military during, the day. And then in the evening, he worked a second side job. And one of those side jobs was as at a grocery store, and he would watch and see what people bought and see how they paid, and he would notice that people with food stamps would buy like the best cuts of steak and seafood and stuff like that, and the people paying cash would have to buy the cheap stuff. You know, cheap hamburger, cheap, better vegetables and stuff like that, but still stuff that's very labor intensive and not
You
the
remember
best.
Godless Girl, right?
Yeah, exactly. Godless Girl. That's an example. And then then they would buy those expensive stuff, and then they would have him, like when he worked as a bagger, he would take the stuff out to their car, and they would have a gorgeous like BMW or I can't even remember the different types of luxury cars. And he asked them, how could you have this when you're on food stamps, don't they? And the person said, well, see, that's the beauty of it. You know, most working families have to have like two clunkers that they can barely keep running just so they can get to work. But if you're on welfare, you can have the very best car that you want as long as you only got one of them. So that's how I can afford this with a TV and a wet bar in the back and all this, other great stuff. QTC, I agree. Well, actually, in California, there's a surfer guy in California that just surfs all day, and he's white, so that and nobody tries to bring race into it. But he just surfs all day and plays guitar, I think, sometimes at night. And he's having the working people pay for it. And he will get lobsters and just the very best food because California is stupid enough to have voted for that. And he gets free housing and free health care, free transportation, free everything. No, not the redheaded kid. This guy's got long blonde hair. And it was real because that's what people said. They thought this has got to be a scam. This has got to be trolling. And so then some other independent news agencies went and did a research, and they found out, no, this is where the guy lives. We're going to block out the number, so that he doesn't get harassed. But we found where he lives.
If you ask me, he deserves to be harassed.
Yeah. And scientists say Sam is correct. You don't get rich off salary, generally speaking. That's correct. You got to do something. Either be an entrepreneur, start a small business, come up with something innovative. You got to do something that stands out, either artistically, scientifically, medically, something. You got to innovate. And Typhoon is right, pleading savior while decrying you for being a leper. That's exactly what these limousine liberals. I even hate using the term liberal for them because I think that puts me in a bad light. But anyway, these progressives that want to say that they're up in their crystal castle looking down on everybody else. Us poor schlubs should be happy with whatever grains they throw down to us. Scientist Sam. As far as studies, that's hard to say. But I mean, if I've personally witnessed hundreds of these anecdotes, and I've got family members that I trust that have personally witnessed hundreds, and I've had coworkers that have also witnessed of all different backgrounds, different races, different socioeconomic strata, everything, and they all have these same anecdotes. Because I used to work in Section 8 housing a lot down in Houston. And I would see this, that the women would give their EBT cards to a drug dealer who would then go out and buy whatever they wanted, expensive stuff. The drug dealer would then give them maybe a little bit of cash and some drugs. So then the women were happy. But then their 3+ children would starve, and other people, like elderly people living in Section 8 housing, would then have to buy them ramen noodles or fix them something to eat. So you'd have these gangs of kids, and I mean young kids, like 4, 5, 6 years old, all the way up to 8 maybe, that would rove the apartment complex looking for who's going to feed us tonight. And it is sad. It's heartbreaking.
Okay, I don't know whether this I don't know whether this applies to your question, But on welfare, a single person can only have $2,000 in their bank account, and if you're married, 3,000. Any more than that, and SSI just removes you. Now, if you have disability, you'll still get that. But if you're but if you can't really
Yeah,
do anything, you're highly disabled. Having SSI removed just because you went $1, I don't know if it's $1 or I don't know the amount that you have to go over. I hope that answers your question. If not, then well, I tried.
yeah, that is generally true for a lot of the means tested programs. That if you're over that cash liquidity amount, then they start drawing down your benefits. They don't actually altogether stop them. They just start limiting how much they give you, because we know Geo Sam had that problem, that he had a little bit extra in his bank account, and so then the next month his check was that much less.
Yeah, I try not to let that happen.
And my mom worked in. She was a assistant manager for different Section 8 apartment complexes, and it was the same problem. The people had to, a term I coined, auto-pauperization. People had to intentionally make themselves poor so they could get all that government benefits. Like I said about the woman making 60,000 in New
Yeah,
Hampshire to get the same, government that the government's given her, and so
passive
that's what these
income,
old people were
something.
doing.
Trying to read something from Typhoon Patrick. Yeah, passive income, something that makes you money in the background while you work on something you actually care about, which will
Yeah,
eventually lead to money. But yes.
yeah. I didn't ever address what Sam said about innovation, but just in
Okay,
general,
well,
from what I mean,
I apologize for not answering your question, Sam, or for what I said, not really answering it. But Hillary, did I answer this question at all? Was that relevant, or
I don't know which question he asked. Like, I'm scrolling through too,
hang
but
on?
when
Uh,
I'm talking, I don't read. And he said people make more
oh,
money off equity incentives and partial ownership. Well, but
beyond
again,
beyond anecdotes, do you have any economic studies
oh
that
yeah,
actually
I was answering
admit
that.
the excess of whatever?
Right. Yeah, I was answering that. That's why I said if I have hundreds of anecdotes and other people, I mean, yeah, it might not be a scientific paper, but where would these people get the data? They're going to get what's been reported. But we all know, like you said, if you got over $2,000 in liquid assets,
So I did answer his question. Good. I needed
yeah,
confirmation from somebody else other than Sam.
right. Yeah, QTC, I don't care if a poor dude eats lobster. Okay, but the thing is, do you care if a guy who refuses to work even though he's able bodied steals lobster from a person who maybe has some disabilities but is still out there working hard? Because that's what it really is. He's stealing that lobster from the hardworking disabled person. And as far as the innovation, you're not going to get equity incentives and partial ownership unless you add something of value. So yes, innovation. I use that term very specifically because that's what I was taught in business school. That everything's about innovation. You have to do something a little bit better, or than other people. Either a little bit cheaper, a little bit better, a little bit something. But you have to add some value. Otherwise, you're just another face on the wall. Okay, and I read QTC's comment about the EBT running out, but I gave that example of the woman who will actually give it to a drug dealer just for some cash and drugs and then not even feed her kids. So why is she getting $2,000 a month when she's not spending that money on her kids? She's just using it for drugs. And then
That
if
was
she wants to
24
eat,
aliens. Sorry, go ahead.
and then if she wants to eat, she'll get down on her knees or her back to earn that money. And again, this is personal anecdotes, but I've seen it happen hundreds of times. Scientist Sam says anecdotes aren't data. Actually, anecdotes are data. You might not like them. They might not be objective data, but they are data. If
Okay,
you don't have
it seems this is like a really stupid thing for him to say, considering he studies statistics. So he should know
Yeah.
that anecdotes are data. I'm sorry, Sam, but what?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he was using shorthand trying to make a different point, but because he's a little bit picky, I'm going to be picky too. If you don't have a study, that's fine, but it seems silly to make policy prescription off of anecdotes. Oh, but we do that all the time, both in our spending habit and in our voting habit. We see things around us, make observations, and then make decisions. Reason why anecdotes need to be taken with a grain of salt? Yeah, I agree. Definitely. But again, I mean, if this is direct observation, this is what social scientists do, is they accumulate anecdotes through direct observation, and then they generalize, and then they try to come up with a theory. Okay, we see rats doing this. What do we think, the reason is? Mouse utopia.
The beautiful ones.
Yep. In QTC, I agree. Benefits poor folks get amount to pennies compared to what the ruling class steals. 100% with you. If you didn't read studies on it, it seems silly to have strong opinion. Again, studies. Why am I going to care about what someone else is making the claim of when I can have direct observation myself? If I can look into a microscope, I'm going to value that more than what somebody else tells me that the microscope describes. Drug addiction, systemic issue, definitely, and I blame the government for that. In fact, the very first heroin addictions were largely caused by the government. The first anti-opioid laws were because they gave Civil War soldiers, like amputees, too much morphine, and then burn victims in World War One. And so then the government, meaning the military, forced them to take these drugs. In the military, you can't refuse to take your medicine, or that's actually a crime that you can be sent to prison for. And
I did not know that. Holy shit.
Yep. And so then they get them hooked, and then instead of tapering them off, they just quit cold turkey. And one day, okay, you don't need this anymore. We're going to just cut you off. Well, of course, those people are going to find a way to handle the lingering effects. You can't expect an entire population of marginalized people to all respond in the best way possible 100% of the time. I don't expect any population of people, marginalized or even fully informed, to respond the best way 100% of the time. We're humans, we're emotional creatures. People are going to screw up. And that's why we need to have a system to help get them back on the right path, not to keep holding them underwater and then blaming them for drowning. I think that our welfare system holds people underwater, just like either you or somebody else said that earlier, and then calls them bad names because they're dependent.
I said that. It's a double. It's a double bind to where to where they help you. To where they help you, they keep you where you are, just so you never amount to anything, as you said
Mm-hmm.
yourself. But
Mm-hmm.
then they will turn around and say, "Oh, you're such a fucking leech. Why are you even on this? You need to pick yourself out of your bootstrap." I know that whole thing is a whatever, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I mean about these Crystal Tower. I don't even know what to call them. Just the politicians that they want to basically starve you to death, but then they want to humiliate you for not working harder. How are we supposed to work on starvation rations? But that seems to be what our economy is largely built on. And I would like to have the government taken out of it more. Not all the way, just if we cut our spending on government 1% every year, or even held it steady,
Okay,
or slowed the rate of
QTC
inflation.
QTC. Nobody is denying that that EBT and welfare income. Is that what WIC is?
Women's, infants, and children.
Oh, nobody is denying that those things don't greatly help people, but at the same time, it keeps them trapped and dependent on the government.
Yeah,
Like, right, Hillary's?
yes, but I'm going even further. I agree that those do greatly help people, and Section 8 helps people. The problem is when the government makes them dependent on it and says, but if you start working at a good job where you have gainful employment, we're going to strip you of all of your benefits at once. I think, again, just like with the opioids when you get out of the military, it should be, we're going to taper you off of them. You can go ahead and work and save up your money for a year, and then we'll go ahead and start, paying you back. And the same thing, I don't have any problem with EBT and WIC whatsoever because people definitely do need them. But when people commit EBT fraud and they sell them for drugs and then their own kids are starving, then I think those people should probably be locked up.
Okay.
And the problem is we don't have a really good solution with what to do with the kids because the
Exactly.
kids might actually be in a worse environment if they get taken away from the parent, even though they'll be fed better. There are other problems.
A couple of years ago, a friend of mine told me this story, and it still stuck with me. Like he and his girlfriend at the time went to like this help center, right? I forget what he called it, but there was I can't make this shit up. There was a woman who was bragging about the more kids she has, the more the government pays her. She had 6 kids already
Yeah.
and was waiting on a 7th.
Oh, when I worked armed security at some of the Section 8 complexes, like when a girl would get pregnant, and I'm talking like 15, 16, she would say,
We're
this
not
is,
talking about UBI though. Sorry, I was just addressing Typhoon, but go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, I was, but yeah, they say, I just got promoted. I just got a promotion because I'm pregnant. So, and we would have 13-year-old girls trying to get pregnant from guys in their 30s so that they could then get their own apartment, their own EBT card, and they wouldn't have to do what their moms told them anymore.
Jesus Christ, 13?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And apparently that's the youngest that a Section 8 will give a teenager their own apartment. Otherwise, if they did it 12, then 12-year-olds would be doing it.
Are you what?
Yeah.
You would tell me I could have gotten an apartment. I could have gotten the Section 8 apartment at 13, and no one told me.
That's my understanding.
Jesus.
And I could be wrong because I was never directly involved in that. But that's what, again, the residents of that apartment complex told me. Yeah, they'd be doing it at 12 if they could, but 13 is the youngest they get their own place, so why even bother? Or maybe it's 14 was the when they got it. So if they got pregnant at 13, they had the baby at 14, they get their own place. But whatever it is, they would call it, yeah, I got a promotion, and they pat their belly and rub their belly. I got a promotion.
It's better to have as many fathers as possible. Like, you know what? That's a fair point. I don't know whether all those kids were from the same man. Doubt it though. Okay, focus on individual failures is for when you're talking to a loved one or something, not when you're talking large population.
No, I disagree. Our criminal courts are there to focus on individual failures. It's saying you have abused the system. Something needs to be done about this. And so I think that we do need to investigate. Now, as far as EBT fraud, you say it's rare. I don't know how rare it is. I would tend to agree with you that it's probably extremely rare. Even 1 in 1,000 would not surprise me. But that 1 in 1,000, I feel bad for those kids, those little 3 and 4 and 5-year-old kids that are starving and they only get their food either at school, because now that's what a lot of schools are doing. They're providing kids 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but their mom is still getting the welfare for feeding the kid, but they're just spending it on drugs. So that's what I mean. And is that an individual failure at that point, or is it a systemic failure? I'd say it's systemic. Crime is a symptom of system failure. I largely agree. I agree about the neighbor cheating the system also. I blame the government. If the government sets up a system that makes it easy, then it's the government that's the real criminal, and that is a systemic failure. Yeah, Halsey and I got into a little bit of a blow up several weeks ago because we were talking about, actually, a couple other people were talking about voter fraud and how some new law was making it easy for people here illegally, so criminals that are here illegally, to vote in national elections, for instance, for president, where the government was basically printing up ballots where they were pre-selecting the candidates that they wanted, and then just having the recently arrived uh, migrant sign it. They don't know what they're signing; they're just being told to do it. And no, this isn't a government employee. This is a employee that was hired by the government in a private contract, which to me again is a shakedown, so that they can promote the one party that they are looking for. Lena Hidalgo is a major case here in Houston. She took COVID money and spent like $7 million and gave it in private funding to a company that she was heavily, let's say, staked in. I don't know if it was actual ownership or how. I don't recall because it was several years ago. But anyway, she was tied up in it. She and her buddies came up with this so-called community outreach to tell people about COVID. She gave herself a $7 million contract where it was basically a don't show up contract. So you don't actually have to do anything. You just get paid $7 million. And then there was a big issue because when she finally, I mean, she was stupid about the way that she did it. This kind of corruption is rampant in Houston, but the way she did it was especially stupid because she is a real dummy. She's pretty, but she's dumb as rocks.
Hmm. Okay. Thai food said mandatory minimum sentences and the three-strike clause say different. The courts are bogged down and individuality gets lost in the shuffle. I mean,
I'm not sure what statement you're referring to that you're addressing that to, but I agree. Mandatory minimums are pretty stupid because, yeah, I mean, for a bunch of reasons. I mean, the whole system that we have in America is pretty stupid. It would be better if it was more like military law, where you actually sought to see what the actual facts are, rather than having the adversarial system of the government versus the individual. Well, the individual is always going to get screwed. The government has, I'm not going to say infinite, but they have a vast, amount of resources, not only at the local level, but I mean, you even got federal assistance if you want. And the little guy has just got whatever he can afford. And I used to be a deputy. I saw a lot of these cases play out in court, and the average person gets screwed. The blue collar, even sometimes professionals, get screwed over. I could tell you so many cases where they got screwed over, and the judge doesn't care. That's another part of the problem. Is these judges? If judges that would be more like Solomon and could say, okay, let's look out. In fact, maybe we need a computer program to say, okay, this is what it is. But then how are you going to figure out the inputs? Are you going to say, well, if a poor person should receive more leniency than a rich person? On the surface, that would make sense to me. But I can think of examples where it might not make sense. There's also the thing of the courts are dependent upon plea bargaining. So the state will stack all these charges against you, knowing that you can't defend against all of them. And then whatever juries will also do jury bargaining, where they'll say, okay, well, we'll go ahead and find him not guilty of these 3 charges, but then we'll go ahead and stick him with this one, when he wasn't guilty of any of the 4, but they actually think they did him a favor. And I've seen that happen too in post-word jury interviews. And that's not supposed to happen. It would be better if judges would specifically tell them not to. But a lot of judges are the opposite. A lot of judges would rather they did that than come out with a hung jury. But sometimes hung juries are what are needed.
Okay, this is the best comment so far.
Yeah,
None of these issues even matter until they stop making the freaking frogs gay.
that is so true. So true.
Yep. I don't have the clip, otherwise I play it.
Yeah. Alex Jones. So just for all the new people, that's an Alex Jones clip that we make fun of.
Yep. This has definitely become the Hillary show, which I'm okay with.
Again, QTC, you're saying you can't expect everyone to perfectly follow rules meant to keep a poverty class. No one's here is saying that. I don't think anyone will perfectly follow rules, no matter what. People are always going to seek a little bit of bias.
Unless you are a robot, you will not
Yeah.
follow the rules.
Exactly. Unless you're a robot. But if you're a human, your amygdala is going to come into play. Your emotions going to come into play. Previous life experience will. And you're going to have a little bit of bias. And you're going to want to cheat the system. And cheating isn't always bad, depending on what you define cheating as. You know, I had a teacher in shop class that said to him cheating was good. That his job was to teach all of us how to cheat, because he believed in what you really needed to do was be able to access and interpret the information, not just memorize it. So all of our tests would be open book. And so the real issue is, can you find the part of the book that gives you the answer that you need, and then interpret that information in light of the question to get the right result? That was a smart teacher.
The frogs are trans now. We had to step up our game because gay wasn't doing it enough. You're not saying you don't support social programs?
I don't know what he's saying.
So,
I mean, if you've been listening to me, I've clearly said that I think the EBT and WIC and HUD and all these are good programs. I think the way they are administered could be better.
well, as you told Sam before, you hear what you want to hear.
Yep.
Or was it to QTC? You said that to somebody. You
I
only
don't
hear
know.
what you want to hear.
I don't know. Yes, we do have prefrontal cortex, and until you're 25, it's not fully developed. So to give minimum sentencing to 19-year-olds is pretty stupid.
Apparently, he's high right now.
Yeah, I see that.
Or sorry, a little high. Let me qualify.
Yeah, I think that social programs are good, but back to what scientists said about means testing, that's why I said I'm not for that. While mostly I support means testing, I'm against it in some ways because I think it's detrimental. I think that a person should be able to get more than $2,000 in assets if they're doing it for some reason. Like, for instance, if they're saving up to put a down payment on a house, I think that they should have, just like their college savings funds, I think that we need something similar, that people that are on welfare can say, okay, I'm going to put my money into this account that's going to be used either for education or housing or something. And then we're not going to count that against them for their $2,000 of liquid assets. That $2,000 of liquid asset, again, a lot of people don't realize that's actually what the Democrats pushed, because the Republicans would come out in public and say that if a person can afford their own housing or whatever, the government, the taxpayers shouldn't be paying for it. And then the Democrats took that and twisted it just a little bit and said, okay, great, we'll give you what you want, and we'll just make sure that we keep them constantly oppressed, so that if they ever reach their head up above water, we're going to push them back under. And so then that's why it's actually the Democrats, and I'm not even sure that they're really the left, but it's the moderate Democrats who keep shoving them underwater. And I would say that the Democrats run things like a cotton plantation. They want to be the elites. They want to be the people up in the main house, and then all the rest of us are overseers or field hands. And if you're a government employee, maybe you're a house worker. And I realize I'm extremely biased and personal saying it like that, and that I'm overgeneralizing. It's not always going to be that. Bond, you didn't address that to anyone, so we don't know who it is that keeps saying he. But when I say he, I just mean a human, a generic human. It's genderless, ageless, no ethnic, anything, just general person. Fun to have an adult conversation. Good to see you too, Typhoon. I just don't care what people do with their money unless they're one of my partners or a billionaire. Well, that's, again, that you've loaded the situation. What you really need to say is, I just don't care how much other people steal from me unless they're one of my partners or a billionaire. So if you don't have any problem with 98% of the American population stealing from you, and maybe another 95% of the world stealing from you, then fine. Then you want to be a slave on the plantation, the government plantation. That's when people say taxation is not theft. Well, sort of, that's true. It's not precisely theft, but for the most part it is, because you don't get to choose what that money is going to. And you don't think they're stealing from you. They are. They're using Congress. Congress uses your tax money to pay the IRS to go after you, to steal more of your money. It's just like when I heard in the first Gulf War, they were saying, Saddam Hussein is executing people and then sending a bill to the family for the price of the bullet. I thought, man, I would love to live in that kind of a system. Price of a bullet's pretty dang cheap. As it is now.
Can I point out something?
Uh-huh.
QTC, like, his last comment kind of got me thinking. Like, though I've literally been robbed, and my first thought was, damn, that person must have been desperate. Like, do you not value your own life in a sense? I don't know. I'm trying to articulate what I'm trying to say, but he's coming off as a person who just doesn't really value his own life. He values more the lives of others more. I mean, it could be a good thing, but at the same time, it isn't. God damn it! I don't know what I'm trying to say. Sorry. I'm starting to sound like Bloodheart.
Again, QTC, it's not the extra $100 a month. How much do you support slavery? Do you support 90%, 70%? Because in the 80s, I remember in school we were taught that kisses get back. That's not what we were taught. I was talking to my dog. We were taught that 70% of a working class person's wages, I may be overstating it. Maybe it's just 70% average of people's incomes go toward taxes, either federal, state, or local. So income tax, Social Security, real estate, sales, all those. So do you believe in 70% slavery? The top marginal tax rate in the 80s, I think, until Reagan got it down, but initially it went up under his presidency. I think it was like 90%. So do you believe in 90% slavery, 70%?
I do. I value very much. I would very much mind if someone threatened my life. I don't value my stuff or money like my life. Okay, so if somebody broke into your house and just said, "I live here now, get the fuck out,"
he should leave. Yeah, in fact, before they even break into his house, he should just sell everything. Just like Jesus said, and this is sarcasm. Sell everything that you've got and go live homeless on the street, depending on, catching birds in the park or something like that, or just people throwing stuff in the trash that you can scavenge. Because you should be so totally poor that no one could even think of stealing from you. That's the best way to preserve your life. Again, QTC, I don't know your background, so I'm not sure where you're coming up with these ideas. Anarcho communism, I'm not really sure what you mean by that. It sounds like you mean Christian communism. And if that's it, then okay. I mean, it's not for me, but if that's what you want to go for, then okay. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize under communism, I mean Russian style, like under Stalin, there was not even private ownership of not only private ownership of property, but even there was no personal property. You did not own the shirt and the pants that you wore. It was just like in the U.S. military; they were issued to you, and they could take them back anytime they wanted. Same with your housing, same with food, same with everything. Everything you had belonged to the government, and they were just being nice to you because they wanted you to keep working 16 hours a day or however much. Just like China now. So my Christianity actually doesn't inform my politics a lot. Okay, then that makes a lot of sense, and I will respect your position, even if there are some minor points that I disagree with. Oh, don't worry. Jesus liked Roman centurion sandals, which those were like the beamer of his day. You're not going to worry about other folks on benefits. Well, that's the point. I don't know what you do for a living, but let's say that you joined the military to get money for college. Then you went to college, but you worked hard and got a good professional degree, let's say like CPA. So you're making good money, but you worked hard and you put yourself through school. And then you got these other people who stacked up $200,000 in college debt, and they just partied and skipped classes and just got C's because the professors were afraid to give them any less than a C because they could be accused of all kinds of different whatever. So they just gave them C's, which happens a lot anymore. Maybe. So then, would you feel good after working all that hard for the person who partied and racked up all that debt for Biden to then come and say, that's okay, QTC, we're going to go ahead and take your house away from you, and we're going to take all these other things, and all the business, we're going to take the equity out of the business that you were working on, and now we're just going to, instead of you being a business owner, which you put all this money into, we're just now going to make you a salaried employee. You say, well, that's on them. No, it's on you. You vote for these policies. So if you agree for them to steal from you, that's on you. It's not on them. Remember how we were talking about systemic inequality before? This is systemic inequality. They commit the crimes, you pay the punishment. I think Midnight stepped away.
No, I'm here. I just don't really have much to add, and when I add something, it always seems to come out gargled. So I don't know. Just one of those days, I guess.
I think QTC said something about coming on stream, why it wasn't going to, but it would help if you wanted to.
I mean, the link is pinned.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
But I think, yeah, it is. But I think he said earlier something about not coming on. And you say, I don't think they're stealing from me. Well, your perception of what they're doing is irrelevant. Either they are or they aren't. And I am asserting that they are stealing from you. Or at least they're receiving the benefits of the theft. Actually, it's Congress that's doing the stealing.
I don't even pay taxes, and I don't even pay taxes, and I know they're stealing from me.
Yeah. And Scientist Sam should appreciate that every time you fill out a 1040. you are documenting theft at
No,
the
he
end of the
probably fucked
gun.
off. I think
Yeah,
he fucked off. He hasn't messaged in a while.
right. Who put the con in Congress? Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny, Roland.
You know, I'm gonna take this to an extreme and say I wouldn't even have a problem with all of Congress living on welfare. I mean, they are living on welfare as it is under statute,
Wow.
but I wouldn't have a problem with them living in a ghetto projects in DC where they had to step on crack pipes every day going to and from work, where they had to ride the subway and take buses and you know
Well, I mean, when you put it like that, then yeah, they'll get to suffer. They may get paid. They may be on welfare, but they'll suffer for it.
yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Instead of their big salary that they get now, which all of us have to pay for, it's not like the state pays each senator separately. They are paid out of tax money from all the states. So I'm paying for California and New York representation, even though it works against me.
Yep.
Yeah, one of the things I really like about socialism, as far as experiments go, is like that classic course in school where, okay, we're going to just average everybody's test scores. So, however much you put in doesn't matter. Put in what you can for studying and taking the test, and we'll just average everybody's score. Guess what? Everybody's going to fail. You're going to have a few kids that are going to get A's because they enjoy the work and they enjoy learning and it helps them, even if the score, they're not going to get credit for their work. And then the slackers, they don't give a crap anyway. They do the minimum. So if they can do nothing, that's what they're going to do. Yeah, nerdy. I would not be. I've kind of flirted with the UBI idea. There are some benefits to it, but if we did that, then I think we would really have to crack down on crime. Because if you are getting a UBI and you steal and you do various other crimes, but I think our criminal justice system needs horribly reworked also. Like there are so many things that are crimes that are victimless.
Can you list a few?
Prostitution, personal drug use, to some extent, selling drugs because it could be regulated and taxed and everything. I mean, if I want to go down to CVS and get a crack rock, and it's put out by Pfizer, then how's that any different than somebody, on the street corner doing essentially the same thing? Well, just the purity and the standardized amount. That's basically it.
You want to know something funny? I mean, I know. America tried this back in like the 20s and 30s, but it didn't really work. Imagine if prohibition was still a thing. It was still a thing in the UK. Where would Wildheart get his alcohol from? He couldn't go to a store, and he couldn't go to like a speakeasy. I mean, he could, but he probably wound up getting himself killed because people there are going to be so drunk.
Yeah, we even had to have a constitutional amendment getting rid of prohibition, but yet we've got all these drug laws. How does that work? So we said this one drug is so pervasive in society that we're going to allow it, but we're going to prohibit all the rest. It's crazy.
Yeah, you know what I
Especially because
find
marijuana has almost no negative effects.
exactly, but you know what I find very interesting, and I'm not sure, I'm not sure whether this is true or not, but the same person who was for prohibition is the one who started the campaign against cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I did remember that right. That the guy's like, oh well, you know what? Banning alcohol didn't work. Let's ban the next best thing. Like
Oh,
they fucking knew back then that they it wasn't dangerous, right? All these tests, all of those the studies they paid for, they go ahead.
I don't entirely remember, but I mean, I watched the History Channel's illegal drugs and how they got that way,
Oh,
and it was like,
that was like a 5-part series. Okay, let me
yes,
find it again. If you can
and
find it,
and
do link it to me.
yeah, and most of those were due to, I'll call it racism. It's not the word I'd use, but basically ethnic oppression. Like the opiates were because of Chinese, marijuana because of Hispanic labor, cocaine, very strangely, because of blacks and white housewives, alcohol because of the Irish and the poor. And then LSD and hallucinogens were like their own little category, and that was just the anti-war protests that Nixon didn't like.
That quote. And what we knew we couldn't make it illegal to be against the war. So what we did is we gave the hippies weed and the blacks cocaine, and then demonized them on TV and then arrested them. I fucking hate that guy. I butchered this quote, but yeah. Ugh. This has been an interesting stream. Desperado.
You know. Yeah, QTC. I just made a little tweak on that. Weed was criminalized specifically because of the brown laborers, the migrant workers, who were here legally. We didn't have the prohibition against them coming up here for work seasonally back then. So it wasn't criminalized because of blacks, but it was harshly enforced because of the black anti-war protest groups. Really, all anti-war protest groups, but the whites could get away with getting college deferrals, and a lot of the blacks didn't. So, and a lot of the blacks had more communist sympathies for whatever reason. I'm just saying, I don't know why. Maybe they were better educated. I don't know. Whereas the white anti-war protesters were mainly just hippies. They didn't have like any political sophistication. Yeah. Well, was jazz about marijuana though? And jazz was like all different colors. It wasn't just blacks. There were plenty of white jazz musicians that smoked the devil's lettuce. Nerdy's right. Early hip hop.
Nerdy is a national treasure. Pass it on.
Yeah, he is.
I noticed Halsey hasn't come back yet.
Yeah, she may have fallen asleep.
Yep.
The death of the hippie happened before the summer of love. Well, I don't claim to know it, but I believe it, yeah. Now, you're not talking about the summer of love of the George Floyd riots where they peacefully protested by burning down cities, right? I'm sure you're talking about like 68 and Haight-Ashbury.
Wow. Wow.
Well, there may be an argument. And when you say biracial, like, again, I don't even like the term race because I just prefer the term ethnicity. It's more accurate. But realistically, who's not biracial? Like, most everybody is some mixture of different groups.
Well, I don't know about that myself because I haven't gotten a DNA test yet. Though, my dad and I always joke about getting a DNA test, whether to see whether I'm actually his son.
Oh man, that's cold. Reminds me of the Southern lawyer who got the DNA test. Oh, because of some medical reason, I think. Anyway, he found out that his 3 kids weren't really his;
Oh
they were the
boy,
neighbors. He's like, and now he's
all
wanting to go
3 of
back.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So now he's wanting to go back and sue the guy for back child support. And I'm thinking, come on. First off, if he's an old man, I don't know, the whole child support thing, period. Number one, if he didn't know they were his kids, then it's not like he was avoiding child support. I mean, the neighbor. And then two, like, did he get any of the benefits of having them as kids?
Well,
If,
I mean,
if
here's the thing. If I was the neighbor, and I was fucking my neighbor's wife every time he went on a long business trip, and I saw kids running around, I'd be like, did I do that? Like Steve Urkel, did I do that?
yeah,
So he must have suspected something. Just didn't really say anything because why would you? Like, yeah, those are my kids, right?
but yeah, like unless he was over there them teaching them how to ride a bicycle and throwing a football and a baseball and hanging out with them, the benefits of being a parent, like why should he just have to pay for it? Now, I think the time has lapsed on alienation of affection.
I never even
There's
heard
like,
that term, alienation of affection.
yeah, I hadn't either until after my divorce. But
Oh wow.
if a person outside your, I guess, marriage does something to cause your spouse to distance themselves from you, and then that leads to divorce, you can sue the outside person for alienation of affection. So, for instance, like if the wife was cheating with the neighbor, then the neighbor could be said to have caused that and get sued.
You know what? You know what I've always wanted to do, and this is expensive as hell. But I always wanted to get my entire genome sequenced. It's like $1,000. Maybe it might be less now, but I'm just curious about my all the genes, all my genes. But that's just me. Also, those quote unquote violent protests made the cops kill fewer people. By the way, okay,
Yeah,
why did it?
yeah.
Why did
Uh,
you put quotes around it when they were violent, or are you going to deny that they were? Anyway, never mind. You handle it.
oh, I was typing to him. That's a complex issue. I'd like to discuss another time. Um, but it made them kill fewer people. Well, it resulted in fewer deaths, maybe. But if you got the masses out there murdering each other in these protests, is that better? So if you kill 5 times more people, but cops weren't the ones doing it, do you think that's a win?
Yeah, that's kind of like an odd thing to say. Well, at least the cops didn't kill people. Like what? Okay, yeah, they didn't, but at the same time, as Hillary said, other people may have killed. Wow.
Well, if you don't believe that self-defense is violence, then cops killing people isn't violence.
Okay, by definition, self-defense is using violence to defend your. Oh my
You're
god.
right. You're right, Midnight. I think he's
Ugh.
too high to understand the arguments he's making. He says he's using a different definition of violence, so he doesn't actually mean violence. He means like social justice or something. I don't know.
You know, props for sticking around. Like, I don't know whether this Verano was your friend or you both found this stream separately, but props for still sticking around.
QTC to say that killings by police are systemic. Okay, then killings done by the populace is also systemic. So you just got a circular argument. Now, I would agree that state-sanctioned murder is what the death penalty is, and I do have a problem with that. I think once you've got a person in a cage, if you then choose to kill them, that is undoubtedly murder. Wa alaikum salam, Comrade Green Soul.
Hello.
No, I've not read On Violence by Hannah Arendt, but it sounds like something I wouldn't be interested in just from the way that you've described it. Even though it might have merit, it's just not something I would be interested in. I mainly listen to streams about astrophysics and stuff like that.
Yay! Astrophysics are awesome.
Yeah. Smart move, Bond. Very smart. Yeah, you should limit your interaction with law enforcement. We are attack dogs. We're not sheepdogs. Yeah, the whole thing with police, even that, police could be so different. But, I mean, in fact, in Egypt, they used to have magistrates they were basically like small claims court judges that would walk around the streets, and people would come up to have their cases heard right there on the spot. And the police were just mainly there. Actually, the firemen did the jobs of the police. They used the same tools for both jobs, and their main thing was making. I mean, if you had two people fighting, that's one thing. But if you've got two big groups of people fighting, then you have to make a stop. Cops started as slave catchers. Well, you're making an argument, and I know what it's based on, but like how many thousands year back are you going to go? Cops actually started as firemen. They were called the starts with an L. But anyway, it was back in the Roman Republic. What is it? Vigilante. So it was a V, not an L. Yeah, they were called vigilantes because they were vigilance or vigilance patrols. And if they saw fire, they had this long pole with a hook on the end that they could tear down the building, and that was supposed to stop the fire from spreading. But if they saw a big mass violence, like 20 people fighting 13 other people, like they could go in with the same pole and either pull the people apart or just skewer them and be like, okay, we're not going to let you fight, we'll just kill you. Which was harsh. It seems to be counterproductive, but either they could let the people fight or they could make the punishment so bad that they wouldn't fight. And then hopefully that would keep 100 other people from fighting for everyone that they killed. So ultimately, they were hoping it would be doing good. Cops do target people. Yes, I agree. Not in self-defense, but defense of the state more than capital. Capital is a little bit different. But actually, the police did in America start out more, like you mentioned, as slave catchers and strikebreakers. So I definitely agree with that. There were a lot of private police before they ever came up with the New York City police, which is the first municipal police that I'm aware of. QTC, again, I'm not disputing what you're saying. You seem to be, your argument saying I don't see what it has to do with. Well, no one's bringing that up. Yeah, slavery was never ended. It was expanded. And you're right. That's why, Alan Dershowitz wrote that book, 4 felonies a day. Like every American is really a political prisoner in a police state. No disagreement. I guess part of each community should decide, what do we want police to be? Because people complain about police costing too much money, but yet, being a government program, the government wants to inflate its budget, so they want more police. So then they have them go out and write tickets. So basically, police, instead of enforcing the peace, just became a revenue generation stream for the county or the city. So yeah, if you want, you can definitely get rid of a lot of the police, but police are pretty poorly trained, and if you cut their training funds, which is what the defund the police was doing, then you're going to get a lot more police violence, a lot more cops that don't even know the law. One town in Alabama abolished their police, and there are a few small municipalities in Texas that have done the same, and very much the same way. There have been some municipalities, Patton Village, there's like 5 others that I don't remember the names of, but I'm familiar with what this final straw was that made the Texas Rangers go in and say that they're going to take over the police functions, because so the state troopers would respond, because the county sheriff and the city police were so corrupt that they were like just mafia. I mean, it was like New Jack City, where the drug dealers were the police. QTC, I don't know what state you're in. In Texas, almost no. Well, the cities spend money on weapons, but most police agencies in Texas, the cops have to buy their own weapons. I had to buy all my own duty equipment, all my own uniforms, all my own everything. Being a policeman is not really a money-making venture here, unless you work for Dallas or Houston. Protect the rich at all costs. Yeah, that is basically it. I would probably make that a little bit more nuanced, but protect the revenue stream. Buddy on the Gang Task Force or something like that in DWF. Yeah, well, and yeah, if he's in DWF, he's making good money. I applied up there, and I think that they are required to undergo volunteer firefighting training to be on the Dallas Police Force. I thought that was kind of weird, but like, their pay is magnificent. I would have loved to work up there. Like in most small counties, you're making just over minimum wage, but you have to buy all your own equipment. You got to pay for most of your own training, and it's state mandated training. So if your department won't pay for it, you still have to pay for it yourself. So firearms qualification, ongoing, training, all kinds of stuff. And the reason that most people become police that I'm aware of down here is either that was their fantasy from the time they were kids, with the hero worship, watching them on TV, or they got bullied in school and now they're wanting to, fight back against that. Or they saw people getting so screwed over by the police, which the little crowd that I hung in, that was us. We saw people get screwed over by the police so much when we were kids. We thought we were going to go in and change the system in our own little way. And we would not be all that corrupt. And we would try to stand up for the little guy. And I can tell you, there are probably hundreds of people that never got arrested and never got sent to prison because I was a policeman. So I might not have been able to do a whole lot. I couldn't change policies or do stuff that the admin was able to. But on the Judge Dredd level of, determining things right at the scene, there are a lot of people that didn't have to go through all the pain of getting booked, getting bailed out, getting a lawyer, having to decide if they're going to plea bargain and say that they committed a crime that they really didn't, just so that they don't get an even worse sentence. Some Sometimes investigators of riots are the police. It's not always, but sometimes. It's usually not that department, though. And that's something else that I kind of dislike about big cities. Big cities have their own internal affairs, but for smaller departments, usually you're not even able to investigate yourself. Another department has to investigate you, which is the way I think it should be. And I would love to see a lot more citizen action committees where they go up and do police use of violence reviews to determine whether or not the person acted appropriately.
Do you mean IAB, by the way?
What?
Internal Affairs Bureau. Do you mean IABs when it comes to cops?
Yeah.
I think someone explained this, but I've always wondered why other, like other places don't have other, firefighters don't have IABs. Like, it's only the cops that have their own thing, not the FBI or CIA. You know what I mean? It's only the cops. They have their own internal investigation system.
I think that they do have ad hoc committees or boards in the fire department. Like if you did something that caused another fireman or somebody to get injured, then they'll review whether you made the right decision. But that's pretty rare, though. Oh, instigate, not investigate. Okay. Oh, I read it wrong. And my eyes are not the best.
And it's also high. And QTC is also high. So there's that.
Right. Yeah, I had to fill in some letters for that, so.
Yep.
Yeah, and most cases like of terrorism that the FBI thwart they never say, "Oh, we're the ones that actually plotted the terror act. We're the ones that went out and got the explosives or whatever materials were needed. We provided the funding. We provided the people. Oh yeah, and these two idiots that we arrested for conspiracy, they weren't actually involved at all. They just were there, and so we just rounded them up." It's just like the old joke from the '80s that if you go to a Klan rally or some other group like that, 12 out of 13 people are going to be government agents, and the 13th guy just happened to walk in off the street because he saw that there was free beer. But yeah, and a lot of times it is the victim that gets blamed, just like that Wounded Knee incident where the Native Americans were protesting and the government went in and beat them up and did a bunch of crimes. And then they said that the natives were the ones that committed the crime because they created the situation for the cops to go in and beat them up. And I've seen other situations like that, like the felony murder rule. Okay, so if you commit a crime and it's a felony, and then a policeman shoots somebody else, you're responsible for what the policeman did because you shouldn't have been breaking the law. No, if the policeman murders somebody, the policeman should be responsible. And if it's truly a result of negligent homicide, where I created a situation that caused to this negligent act, then fine, go ahead and prosecute me for negligent homicide, not murder.
How are you feeling, Hillary's, by the way?
Pardon?
How are you feeling?
I could be doing other stuff.
Okay, well, I mean, if you can be doing other, okay, this is good. Like, thank you for being on here.
You're welcome. I'm here for you. And QTC is saying that funny the cops didn't beat the hell out of them. No, they just murdered them. They just shot them. They invited them into the Capitol. They have the Jersey barrier out there. And then they literally opened it up and invited the people in, held the door for them and everything, and then said that they were somehow, committing insurrection. Well, no. for several reasons, no. And we have a guy called Serb that loves calling it insurrection and saying, well, this is what insurrection is. But he's got it wrong. You can't have an insurrection against Nancy Pelosi. The way that the law that he is quoting is written, you can only
Careful,
have an
that's fighting
insurrection.
words.
Huh?
Several fight you in a cage match. But tell never mind, I was taking a joke.
Oh, okay. Yeah, QTC. That one lady was shot. That's my point. So you're saying beat the hell out of? She was shot for literally stepping through, in this case, a window. But and she shouldn't have been there. I'm not defending her, but he didn't give her any lawful order. He just shot her, and you don't just shoot someone for being in a public place. Shoot, beat, stalk, and just disappear. Well, again, I don't know the specifics. Are you up around Chicago? If so, I do know that Chicago does have a tendency to disappear people. And if you're in someplace else, then it may also be true. But I know Chicago, in particular, has been known for that for a long time, for decades. And they even have a really weird system where they will arrest someone, never formally book them, and just keep moving them from holding cell to holding cell in different locations. And so if the family member or a lawyer goes up and tries to find out, what the person's status is and maybe bail them out, well, they've never actually been booked. So therefore, the 72-hour hold hasn't begun. So you can keep them for 2-3 weeks. And I mean, this kidnapping. There's no question it's kidnapping, but it's the state doing it. The state doesn't prosecute itself. I believe you, QTC. And what is that a picture of? At first I thought it was one person, and now I'm kind of thinking it might be another. The memes were top tier. Some dude yelled, "I am." Yeah, that was probably a Fed that yelled, "I am." Or maybe just a useful idiot. But yeah, the whole system, I mean, but that's the issue, though. The elites do want to separate us, and by creating political or religious division, they can split us up into splinter groups and have us fighting each other instead of all banding together to overthrow them. So maybe it would be a better idea to find out how we can all come together for a common cause. When I was able to be a street activist, I lived in a place that had the second most lethal police force after Baltimore. Well, where is that? I don't know. And I'm near Houston, so I don't know anything about Baltimore. We hardly ever see anything on the news. At midnight, I think I'm going to go eat and do some other stuff. Oh, Denver?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Denver is pretty messed up too. I agree.
Yeah, all right. I'm gonna end it anyway. The
Okay.
stream, not my life.
Okay, good night.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for coming. This is actually this is a nice length, 3 hours and 19 minutes. Buy Bond QTC. Welcome to the channel, I guess. I don't know whether your Desperado was your friend or not, but it's besides the point. Anyways, have a nice rest of your day, and